Welcome, everybody, to a Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, episode 153. I'm your host, the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and in my upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
What's going on, everybody?
What's popping, bro? Brand new whip just hopped in. In the upper right corner, I got Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, picking up Superdog points, picking up W's in NCAA, starting the NFL season with a 2-1 record. I got to catch up to him. I got to change my damn name. I'm the NFL dumbass at this point. 0-3 week one. That's okay. What's popping, Shally? How you feeling?
I like the early lead, but I want to be cautiously optimistic for the rest of the year. NCAA, I feel good about as always, but NFL, this could be a fluke, so we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't call it a fluke. I will say this, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I have to stop allowing my hate, my inner hate to make my decisions for me. That's got to stop happening. I did that this past week. I hate the 49ers. I hate Desmond Ridder, and I hate Josh McDaniels. Picked against all three, and I went 0-3. I got to stop doing it. I'm not going to do it this week. I got 3 picks. I'm fired up. I'm ready for it. But we'll get into that. By the way, we actually going to get in that early because we're starting with NFL tonight. NCAA at second base. We're going to knock them in with some MLB action. And then as we steal home, we'll steal home with how Israel Adesanya got the belt stolen from him from Sean Strickland. I'm ready to get going. Let's recap week one, the NFL season, the biggest news of the week. I want to start with Monday Night Football. 4 plays in. Yo, I watched that game. I had the game turned on, the volume up. Aaron Rodgers running out with the American flag on 9/11. Jets football. Like, I'm fired up, ready to go. 4 plays in. And Cottrell called it right away. Cottrell's in our chat. Like, that looked like an Achilles pop. I'm like, Jesus, do it. It didn't even look like anything happened. He's like, yeah, it just looked like an Achilles pop. I'm like, okay. I watched a couple replays, went on Twitter. Achilles tear. Cottrell was the first one to say it. Ryan Clark called it his ankle breaking right away, and that was incorrect, and then he switched it to an Achilles tear. But Aaron Rodgers season over, 4 plays in. Before I continue there, so everyone's like, I think the Jets are going to win. Aaron Rodgers, 9/11. Let's go. Aaron Rodgers goes out of the game. The Bills are going to win. The Jets stink. It's Zach Wilson. And then everything that you expect to happen doesn't happen. And the Jets win the football game on a punt return for the ages. I'm not crying. You're crying. It's dusty in here. That Hard Knocks story came to life. It was awesome to watch. Cottrell, your thoughts?
So, I mean, just, initial reaction to the Aaron Rodgers thing. I thought Achilles right away just because of how he went down. It seemed like he realized that he was hurt, but at the same time, it wasn't one of those things where he was like right there in excruciating pain. But the way he stood back up and then went immediately right back to the ground, to me, it just seemed like he knew it was something serious and he knew he couldn't keep playing. And immediately right away, I just thought, that's something with your Achilles. Because if you break your ankle, you're screaming because, just that pain of just the initial shock of it. But with the Achilles tear, we've seen it with other guys. We even saw it, in J.K. Dobbins, even this past weekend where, it happens, something's not right. But for whatever reason, you're just not in that excruciating pain where you're showcasing it. But Aaron knew something was wrong right away. And then seeing the replays, of course, you could see the vibrations in the back of his leg. Now, what I will say for the Jets, though, definitely want to give them credit. That defense stepped up. We knew that was going to be the heart of that team. It's great getting Aaron Rodgers, but that defense, you knew all the talent that was there. They showed how great it was last year. And so they stepped up. Getting 3 interceptions on Josh Allen is definitely big. And you got to give all the credit to Xavier Gibson as well. You mentioned the Hard Knock story. I was rooting for him. For my own personal reasons, I had the Jets defense and special teams going in my fantasy league. It's about 3 points down, right before that touchdown happened. And, that also the win. So I was pretty happy about it. But that Jets team is very resilient. And I think a lot of that is just, really spearheaded by Robert Saleh and those guys just believing in him, believing in that philosophy of next man up.
I'm telling you right now, if Nick Sirianni was not the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I'd be fighting, clawing tooth and nail for Robert Saleh. I love him as a head coach. I'll say this, right? The Jets would have won the Super Bowl if Aaron Rodgers didn't pop his. I'm telling you, after watching that game, after watching the things the Jets would have won the Super Bowl. That defense with Aaron Rodgers, they would have won the Super Bowl. It drives me nuts. Let me go to comments real quick. I'm going to go right to Shally right after these comments. They're too good. Kyle Edwards said, it's wild the timing of it, almost to the day when Testaverde hurt his Achilles back in 99. And then the second comment said, Josh Allen just threw another interception. Breaking news. Josh Allen threw another interception. Shally, your thoughts on Monday Night Football? Aaron Rodgers and everything that happened. I'm telling you right now, I came away from that game thinking the Jets would have won the Super Bowl if he didn't pop his Achilles.
I don't know if I'm going quite that far yet. I mean, I think it was a clear example of they were at least going to be in the conversation like all three of us thought they were going to be. I agree with you with the Saleh stuff. I've said that before. I'm a Sirianni guy, but if we didn't have him, he would, be head and above anybody else for my first choice to replace Sirianni here. And I think it's a testament to that team, the players, the coaches, the locker room that, they rallied around that and went out and beat a good football team. I think the sloppiness of week one and, certain guys not playing during the preseason, stuff like that. I think that helped a little bit for them to stay in that game and win, but it's tough to see. I mean, I'm very outspoken in how I do not like Aaron Rodgers, personally per se, but you never want to see something like that happen. And, I think we all kind of were excited to see how good the Jets were going to be and how they were going to fare in that division against, the Bills and the Dolphins and the Patriots. So I think it was tragic, man. I mean, I really do. I think it was the NFL was kind of in the spotlight there. Like you said, 9/11, you have the New York City team playing, and it sucked, dude. It sucked. You don't want to see anything bad like that happen to anybody, let alone one of the stars of the game. But you got to give the Jets credit, man. Like you said, that defense hung in and played their asses off and kept getting the ball back. And it's kind of crazy the thing in the second half. I mean, if you really look at it, Zach Wilson outplayed Josh Allen. So that's kind of a crazy headline in its own.
Josh Allen as a whole looked awful. There's a reason I didn't have him in my top 5. There's a reason that he's falling further and further back. Josh Allen looks terrible, man. No Brian Dable, and this guy is just – it's not the – and Bose just puts in the chat, he goes, the Madden curse. It's not the Madden curse. He did this last year. I'm sorry. The Bills are just talented. They're very good. Josh Allen's ultra talented. And someone made a comparison, and I kind of want to just say it out loud. Josh Allen is Carson Wentz without the ACL injury. It could be. Terrible decisions. Terrible decision making. I don't know if he's just mentally fragile, if he thinks he can make every play. I don't know what it is. There's so many comments coming in, guys. I appreciate the comments. Let me read a few. John Gonzalez. Rodgers suffered a calf. He said thigh. It's a calf injury. Calf injury on that leg in training camp. His leg was already weak. Same thing happened to Kevin Durant. Had a calf injury, came back towards Achilles tendon. John Suggs. I mean, I hope the Titans bounce back. They're missing 4 main stars probably this weekend. Jory said they will. They will bounce back. Brandon Bozak, my man Bose said Bills are done.
I mean, I don't think they're done. I mean, I think in a weird way they lost the game, but maybe lived to fight another day. I mean, I don't think you can realistically think the Jets are, across the board going to outplay Buffalo the rest of the season with no Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a tall task for Zach Wilson. Not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but none of the three of us had Buffalo in the playoffs, assuming Aaron Rodgers is playing. I just don't think it's as cut as dry now. I think
It's not cut and dry. You're right. But you brought up you're doing your thing, bro. You're doing Shally is on the segue right now. He said, I don't see the Jets outplaying them with Zach Wilson. Do you know a team that will outplay them with that? Will outplay Buffalo this year? No doubt in my mind. If Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy, the Miami Dolphins showed it Sunday. Let's talk about the game of the week. The Dolphins Chargers. That game, I watched that game in Universal Studio around a ton of Dolphins fans. I mean, they were going nuts. The most diehard Dolphins fans I ever met in my life, outside my man Danny Dempsey. These guys were going bonkers. That game was awesome. Cheetah was off the chart. Tua was throwing the ball all around the yard, and Austin Eckler had a field day. The Chargers ran for like 235 yards on the ground. That game did not lack offense. Might have lacked a little defense. Did not lack offense. Dolphins, Chargers, game of the week. And Danny's already in the comments saying my apology letter to Tua has been started. Dolphins, Chargers, first reaction, Shally.
Those were the only two offenses that didn't look like it was week one to me. If you went across the board, I think a lot of quarterbacks looked very rusty, and a lot of the offenses were sloppy and not sharp. The Chargers and the Dolphins looked like they were in midseason form. You got to give it to Tua. Had a great game. Like you said, chucked the ball all over God's creation. Austin Eckler and just looked like he was running for money, and he is. And it was a great game. I mean, if it was entertaining and scoring is your thing, and you don't care about defense too much, that was definitely the highlight of the weekend. But a lot of skilled players on both offenses, and they all showed up and played well.
Cottrell, questions about Tua. Do you think that the Dolphins are answering those questions? Do you think Tua will remain healthy? Is this the AFC East division over?
I don't want to say it's over because I actually still think the Jets have a chance in this division. I think Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson can, if he can manage the game and not turn the ball over. I think that Jets team will have that, and that Jets defense specifically, they'll have that team in a position to win every single week. And I think them having Breece Hall and having Dalvin Cook at running back, I get it. It was Breece Hall's first game back. They kind of treaded those tires lightly. But he had 10 carries. He had over 100 yards. Dalvin Cook had a pretty solid debut as well. I think they can rely on that running game and still find ways to win games just because the defense is going to be so good. Now, as far as the Dolphins go, I mean, their offense looked absolutely explosive. When you have Tua going for over 400 yards and you have that Miami, Dolphins, the receiving core, you had Tyreek Hill go over 200 yards and look completely unstoppable. Of course, you're going to be a force to reckon with. But, Gene, you said it already. The biggest thing is going to be, can Tua stay healthy? And, that Chargers team didn't get after Tua at all. Obviously, you have Mack and you have Bosa there, but, neither one of them or anyone else on that Chargers team recorded a sack, like Danny Dempsey said. So, when other teams have that pass rush coming after you, the Patriots, they have a great pass rush, It could be that Lane Johnson and Mailata just didn't have the reps in the preseason. They're just kind of getting their legs under them and things like that. But they were getting after that Eagles offensive line, who's, considered the best among everyone in the league, pretty much, across the board. And so you have that D-line. You have the Jets D-line that can get after the passer at all positions across it. And then, the Bills D-line, once Von Miller gets back as well, I think those are questions that are going to start to be there when they start going up against those teams, let alone, the entire league, but just their own division. So the biggest question mark is, can Tua stay healthy? I think he will. But with that said, I don't think this race is over just yet. Don't count out those Jets with Zach Wilson.
Well, let's talk about the other side of the ball. The Los Angeles Chargers look great all. I'm not trying to paint this narrative, but the narrative is there. And if I'm not going to say it, I don't know why it's not being said more. Another opportunity, Justin Herbert, over 2 minutes left, only needed a field goal. Sack, terrible pass, sack, game over. I feel like it's becoming a trend with Justin Herbert to not deliver when the moment is bright. You're laughing. Am I wrong? It's another time in another game. Well, last time we seen Justin Herbert on the field, what did he do? Last time we seen him on the field before week 1, what did he do?
They lost because of Justin Herbert Sunday.
It's not what
wasn't a 600 yards. It wasn't a 600 total yards of offense that the defense let out. It wasn't that. Like, come on. It's the half the narrative, bro. Like, you make it sound like it was a 10-10 game and Justin Herbert shit the bed. He put up 34 points. They got 2 through for 460 yards. Paint the whole narrative, bro.
I wasn't finished. You were drafting him. I wouldn't explain.
Jesus
Look,
Christ.
At the end of the day, he didn't put up 35 points. The team put up 35 points. But at the end of the day, they had the ball.
4 points did he let up?
They had the ball with 2 minutes to go in the game, only needing a field goal, only needing to get in the field goal range, and he looked terrible. I'm not saying that he looked terrible the whole game. He was fine. He was 23-33, 230, 1 touchdown. I mean, it was fine. He was okay. 23-33 for 229 in a game where your team scores 34 points is not like lighting the world on fire. Yes, he's the quarterback of the team. They scored 34 points. The point I'm trying to make is this. It's not about whether he's talented enough, whether he's good enough. It's about when he has that game-winning drive. Does he have it in him? We're calling this guy elite. He's never won a playoff game. Am I wrong there?
No, I mean, but to that same token, I mean, we Josh Allen also gets thrown in that category, and I get it. He has, playoff wins under his belt, but outside of, the 1 year when they took Kansas City to the brink, I think that's what really accelerated him and put him, on that pedestal. Yeah. But outside of that, Josh Allen could be considered that same caliber quarterback. And I get it. Trevor Lawrence as well. I mean, I know this is only, his 3rd year at this point, but he had a good win, that comeback win against the Chargers. But that first half, I mean, had that not happened like that, what would we be saying about Trevor Lawrence as well? So I do think we got to pump the brakes on Justin Herbert just a little bit, but I'm not just going to say, it's yet another point of just Justin Herbert dropping the ball, because as great as that defense looked, the Dolphins defense looked on the final drive, getting after Herbert, things like that. I don't want to put that completely on him.
I mean, he definitely held the ball.
He did, for sure. But okay, I mean, would you prefer hold the ball or turn the ball over?
He did turn the ball over.
Ew.
He did turn the ball over.
What do you mean?
4th and 17. The game was over. He did. That's a turnover on downs, right?
I mean, I get that, but I'm saying, would you rather him turn the ball? I'm talking about 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, like make a bad decision, or hold on to the ball a little bit more.
Look, I don't dislike Justin Herbert. I don't. I just feel like what we're doing right now is we are looking at him and it's like a really shiny toy, right? He's got the arm. He looks great. The eye test, he passes it in every way. My question is, and I'm not a Herbert hater. Stop in the comments, the Herbert hater. I'm not a Herbert hater. I'm telling you.
It's just like Brock Purdy.
No, it's not just like Brock Purdy.
You borderline talk about him more negative than you do Brock Purdy.
But first of all, Brock Purdy, and I'll get into that in a minute because we're going to talk about that next. Justin Herbert is in a situation where we are calling him a top 5 quarterback on most people's list, and he's never won a playoff game. And every time there's been a situation where he can win a big game, he just doesn't do it. Is that not on him? Is that not on him to go down there and get a field goal? Is he on your top 5 list, Shally? Is he a top 5 quarterback to you?
Yep.
Okay, so is that not on it? Do you not want your top 5 quarterback to be able to bring you down and get a field goal versus a defense that gave up 795 yards? I'm joking. But the defense gave up yardage all day?
It was almost 600, though. That's the real number. I mean, let's paint the whole picture. We were talking about sacks. How many times did Tua get sacked on Sunday?
0.
How many times did Herbert get sacked?
3.
Twice on the final drive.
Yes.
So, cool. So, we're going to put all that on him. They ran the ball 40 freaking times.
So you're talking about the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was obvious. So there's obviously a game plan. It's just like if they would have played every other team in the NFL on Sunday, they would have lost one game. They would have lost to the Cowboys. That's it. They would have beat everybody else. Like like the fact that we're coming on, like if you would have came on here and just be like obliterated or the Chargers defense, I would have been all for that. The fact that you come in here after a team gives up 600 yards of total offense and just gets ripped apart, and you go and then you turn around and go, the quarterback didn't have a good last drive, and that's your focal point of where the game went wrong for the Chargers on Sunday.
When they got the ball down 2 points, did you think they were going to win the game?
I thought they had a chance, like anybody else. What quarterback's perfect? What quarterback's perfect?
No quarterback's perfect. No quarterback's perfect. But just can you point to the times where Justin Herbert has won those games? Can you give me examples? I'll tell you the best example you can give me, right? The game versus the Raiders, where it seemed like every fourth down he was making the perfect play, the perfect catch was being made, and they didn't win the game. That's the best example I can come up with of Justin.
And how did they lose that game?
Because they couldn't stop anybody on defense. You're right. He
went down in a minute. I remember that game because me and you were texting back and forth, and we were saying how incredible some of the throws were, and they scored to tie, and then the Raiders went right down the field and won the game. The dude can't play both sides. I'm not saying the dude's perfect by any means, but it's really I highly doubt that they walked into that locker room after giving up all those yards and all those points. They were like, Justin, you got to be better. Like that wasn't part of that post-game speech. Like it just wasn't.
I think the other thing too is that we quite literally saw, a version of the same thing happen in a different game. The greatest quarterback on earth right now, Patrick Mahomes, had the opportunity to lead his team down and kick a field goal.
Totally different scenario
on the prime time game. He was down
totally different scenario.
Why different?
Because you tell me what was wrong with that drive, Control. You tell me. We watched the game. Don't lie to yourself. Fine, we'll move right into the Chiefs Lions.
Hey, look, you talk about sacks. I could bring up drop passes. I mean, hey, it's at the end of the day, the quarterback didn't get the job done and they lost the game. I'm just saying we're not going to talk about it the same way that we're talking about this. And I understand it. Patrick Mahomes can be afforded that luxury. He's got 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. I 100% get it. But I don't want to just act like Herbert had a bad game. If you want to say he's not clutch, I'm okay with it.
I didn't say he didn't. I didn't say he had a bad game. I never said he had a bad game.
Clutch, that's fine. But I mean,
would you say Herbert's clutch?
I wouldn't throw him in that category. No.
Would you say he's clutch?
I wouldn't throw him in the category.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's going to be a great quarterback. I just think he needs a new head coach to be able to help him design what's going to happen with the Chargers going forward. He's already got a contract. I think the coach is the problem.
And we've seen how much a coach can help.
100%.
Take that jump. And I get it. Staley's not as bad as
Meyer. I can't believe that you just put that on Pat Mahomes.
I didn't put it on him. I'm just saying.
Dropped the ball right in the guy's hands in field goal range. Like it hit him here. Right here.
I didn't put it on Pat. I'm just saying, there's other plays before that. You can throw to other people. It's a lot that goes into it. I'm just saying.
John Gonzalez asked the question I want to ask the panel. So if you put Herbert on the current Jets, do they have a shot at winning the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Let me change it. Do they win the Super Bowl?
Why you say it?
I'm changing it because
I don't like. Did Herbert like steal your girlfriend or something?
No. Listen to what I said. I said he said, "Do they have a shot at winning the Super Bowl?" I think that's 100%. A silly question. I think that's a silly question. I think they definitely have a shot. I'm now going to ask: would they win the Super Bowl? Would they be your pick? Microphone. It's going to you. Would they be your pick if Herbert was the quarterback of the current Jets? Would they be your pick to win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah, same. I agree.
They would be my pick.
All right. So maybe it's not a Justin Herbert problem.
Maybe it's not. All right. Well, we got another game to talk about. I only want to bring this game up. It's not a notable game. It was 30-7. I only want to bring this game up because I said it Monday. I'll say it again. I couldn't be more wrong about what Brock Purdy has become. I couldn't be more wrong about what he's done. I watched him play that game, man. I'm sitting there like this Steelers defense, TJ Watt, Minka, Mike Tomlin are going to be prepared, and they're going to make him look bad. There was a play in that game. It was like, I don't know. At one point, it was like, I think it was 14-0 or 13-0. Purdy's got the ball at his own 12. The Steelers just punted again. The Steelers had the perfect play. It was like 3rd and 7. They jumped a route perfect. They were supposed to throw an out route to Deontay Johnson. Or not Deontay. To Brandon Ayuk. He turns. You can see his eyes are locked in it. You can see the safety jump. He calmly goes through his progression to the middle of the field, throws a seed to George Kittle, and it's a perfect first down pass. And I'm like, man, progression, accuracy, reading the defense. What did Kyle Shanahan do to this man? I watched, like, if you don't know where my Brock Purdy hate comes from, let me explain to you. I'll explain. I don't mind. We were on this show, and I went nuts on a prediction. And I got a TikTok video of it. I said, Iowa State's going to beat up Iowa, Brock Purdy, and I was singing his praises, and Breece Hall, and I'm like, this team is going to win. We're talking about how good the coach was, and Iowa State's going to whoop on Iowa. And I watched that game. And this guy looked so bad in that game. Iowa beat them 13-3. And Brock Purdy looked miserable, like awfully bad. And I just wrote him off. I'm like, he'll never be an NFL quarterback. That guy stinks. Well, it's proof that kids can get better, that talent can get better, and he's put the work in. I got to give him his credit. I got to apologize. Mr. Purdy, please forgive me. Mr. Brock, please forgive me. I'm sorry. And I hate saying that about a 49er because I screw the 40 whiners. Screw all of them. I hope you 49er fans are listening. Yo, whiners. I can't stand the 40 whiners. I almost hate the 40 whiners as much as I hate the Cowboys. But I got to give them credit. Got to give them credit. Don't do that, Alex. Let me see the whole – don't Alex Elmore ask, is he ahead of Justin Fields now?
No, absolutely.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
I'm not putting Brock Purdy ahead of him, but Justin Fields didn't look good Sunday.
No, he didn't. We got to talk about that. So your biggest disappointment Sunday?
Chicago.
Yeah, 100%.
My biggest disappointment Sunday, Chicago is definitely up there. I feel like there was another one though.
There's plenty of them. The Giants could be one. You could go to Minnesota Vikings losing to Baker Mayfield at home.
Knew they
There's
were
going to Seahawks.
The Seahawks. That's the one for me.
Seahawks is a good one too.
Seahawks to get not just losing, but getting blown out at home to Matt Stafford and
screaming Burrow and the Bengals. I called that shit. I told you that the Browns were going to win that football game. I know College Cottrell always calls the Browns winning. Like the Browns are 17-0 in Cottrell's predictions. But I told you the Browns were going to win that football game. The biggest disappointment to me was this. Let me explain why it's the Bears. I know the Sea Chickens are up there. I get it. I understand the Giants laid an egg. But the biggest disappointment is the Bears for this specific reason. What's the Aaron Rodgers line when he walked out of Soldier Field for the last time? What did he say? 3 words. He said, I own you. I own you. That's what Aaron Rodgers said in Soldier Field to the crowd as he walked out of Chicago for the last time he played there. I own you. Chicago has the opportunity with Justin Fields, a DJ Moore, a new offensive tackle. They had the opportunity to say, it's our turn. I would have been more fired up for this football game going against Jordan Love than I ever been fired up for a football game. I know the city of Chicago was. And all the Bears did was let them down. The Love boat is on board. Jordan Love looked great. Aaron Jones looked great. That Packers defense looked great. But I'll tell you who didn't look great. The Chicago Bears. And I'm not blaming it on the offensive line. I'm tired of that. Justin Fields was holding the ball. I watched that game start to finish. Justin Fields was holding the football. He was not making his reads. He was not making his progressions. There's two things you can blame that on. One is Justin. 100% can happen. The second thing is, and I'll bring this up with the Philadelphia Eagles, is when you do not have an offensive coordinator that schemes players open. Philadelphia went through that this past Sunday. Brian Johnson looked terrible calling plays for Philadelphia. Shane Steichen's already missed. When you don't have an offensive coordinator that's scheming plays open, like this is where the ball should go. Brock Purdy's so successful because Kyle Shanahan's creating a scheme like the ball goes here, and if they're not there, the ball goes here. Does Justin have that? So is it the offense coordinator? Is it Justin? I'm blaming Justin. Fields is too good not to be able to look at a defense and say, this is what I can do with this. But I will say this. I do not think Chicago has given him the right people around him. I hate Matt Eberflus. I hated the hire when it happened. Can't stand it. And by the way, just for shits and giggles, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm looking it up right now. Who's the Bears offense coordinator? I got it right now. I just picked it up.
No clue.
Any idea, Shelly?
No.
It's Luke Getsy.
No, that guy.
I just feel like that the Bears were the biggest disappointment Sunday. The Seahawks are there, right? The Rams beat them with Puka, my guy Puka from BYU that went nuts on me. I lost a bet because of that guy too. I remember that. Puka and a slew of defenders from the 6th round or later. Give the Rams their credit. But Seattle looked terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Chicago, Chicago specifically, yeah, a lot of blame has to be on Justin. I said before the year, this will be the year of no excuses for him. I 100% agree with you, though. I don't think Eberflus is the guy to help his progression. But that doesn't change anything. Like you said, he's way too talented, and we saw it last year with that Bears team where even when things were broken down, Justin Fields was making plays with his legs. I do think as well, just kind of looking back at the film from that game, their red zone offense was absolutely awful. You talk about not scheming guys open. It didn't even seem like they were running route concepts. It almost just seemed like they told guys to go out there and say, hey, run to an open spot. I mean, they had stuff that didn't even make sense. It was like, hey, they're in cover 2. You're not running anything to beat a cover 2 defense. It's like you're just running things just because it's in your playbook. So definitely have to put some of the blame there on Chicago and their coaching staff, but I just think Justin's too talented. They went out and got DJ Moore. DJ Moore only had 2 targets, and they were in the same drive. And so I think you got to find ways to get your playmakers the ball. And again, I think for Justin specifically, if he's out there and something just doesn't seem right, and something's not going to work, at the end of the day, you're the quarterback. You have the ability to check some calls. So I do want to put a lot of blame on Justin, but I also think he's not in a great position right now with the coaching staff.
You want to talk about not a great position, the coaching staff. You want to talk about the Bears. How about Chase Claypool being deactivated?
That's what I was just going to say.
That's embarrassing. Did you watch? All you have to do is Google Chase Claypool gave up. Just Google it. He gave up. He was not running routes. He stopped running routes. It was embarrassing to watch. Coaching is the reason players give up. But when you're Chase Claypool and you've done it on 2 different football teams, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Never been one. Never will be one. Chase Claypool gave up week 1. It took him 1 week to quit, shall he?
No, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, that effort is pathetic. And I don't know what he was thinking. Like somebody wasn't going to notice that on film. It was embarrassing. I don't think there's any shocky plays this week. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him. Just wild, man. I mean, he was drafted, 2nd round out of Notre Dame, had an amazing rookie season. And then I just think it all went to his head and he hasn't been able to turn that switch off. He just thinks he's somebody when he's not. And it's not good. I mean, if you got a young, especially with a Justin Fields and the younger guys too that are on that team, the last thing you want is somebody like that in the locker room or anywhere around your offense. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they release him.
Jory said he don't want to play football for real. It's clear.
Well, see ya.
I cannot understand how much of a baby Chase Claypool has to be in two different situations, and in both situations just quit on his team. Like, it's just bad teammate. I don't want him on my team. I go back to the old Mike Singletary press conference. Can't play with them. Can't win with them. Like, I don't, like, you can't. And, like, that's the whole thing. Like, that press conference changed Vernon Davis's career with them. I can't. I just, he said, ECG said Chase is now a healthy scratch for this week, confirmed. Came out about an hour ago.
Not surprising and definitely the wrong kind of way, but well-deserved.
It's definitely well-deserved.
Beginning of the end, but I will say, I mean, for Chase, I do think, in a situation, if you can't get right in Pittsburgh, when you have Mike Tomlin, who is, by literal definition, a player's coach and is going to go to bat for you, things like that. And I get it. If Chicago offered me a second-round pick for Chase Claypool, I am accepting and hanging up the phone without even thinking about it. But, if he can't get your mentality right about just going out there and getting after and things like that, then I don't know who is going to be able to. Like, I don't know what team would be like, hey, we need a receiver. Let's go out and get Chase Claypool. And I think I can coach it out of him to not be selfish. Like, I just don't know what he's thinking there.
Bro, do I need to bring out the free Justin Fields shirt again? Because I think that organization is a mess, dude. I really do. The McCaskey family, I just think it's a mess. The Eberflus hire was one of the most confusing ones I've ever seen. It had Brian Flores. That job had Brian Flores written all over it. It did. I don't know why the direction they went was so confusing. I don't know. I don't want to go too far into this, but I need to bring out the free Justin Field shirt. Free him. Let's get him out of that situation. Next, let me ask you guys a question. We want to talk about the Sea Chickens, the Seahawks, I'm kidding, and the Rams and that situation to happen with Matt Stafford balling out with Puka. We could do that. Who is a bigger disappointment week one than the New York Giants? The New York Giants got a 40-burger laid on them on Sunday Night Football by a division rival in their house. And it's so poetic that Daniel Jones just got a $40 million contract and got beat by 40 points. I'm so happy the Giants paid him. I am so happy the Giants paid Daniel Jones. I know it's not all on Daniel Jones. I'm not like pretending. The Cowboys defense is going to be incredible. I told you they're a top 3 defense going into the season. They're a top 3 defense, guys. They might be number 1. They might be number 2. They're a top 3 defense in all football. But to come out week 1 and look like that.
I mean, for me, I was going to say, the thing is that, Gene, we were on the same page with this before the season started. I said that I thought the Giants were going to be 8-9 at best, and I thought that was going to be a 5-12, 6-11 football team. So they went out there and showed me that that's exactly what they're going to be this year. Like, I hate to have overreactions week 1, but that basically just confirmed exactly what I had already thought. They went out and got Darren Waller, who I think is a great pickup for them, but he's already having issues with his hamstring that is
shocker.
It's not right. So that's one less weapon that you have. And then you have Saquon Barkley, and you don't even find ways to get him the ball in the pass game. That's clearly your best athlete out there on the field. And I get it. The game got out of hand over pretty quickly. But you still got to find ways to get Saquon Barkley the ball. And, if you're not going through Saquon, then you're going to have a completely awful season. Now, I do get as well that, they had some interceptions that didn't go their way. I do think that Giants defense will be better than, you see 40-0, you think, man, that defense, they did absolutely horrible. I think that the Giants defense will be the strong point of this team. But yeah, I don't see it being a good year for those Giants. So for me, that's really why they weren't as high on my list of disappointments, because I thought, Cowboys should win this game pretty handily.
I will say this, though, that Daniel Jones took 7 sacks, threw 2 interceptions, lost 2 fumbles, and had a QBR of 8.
Sounds about right.
Oh my God.
I think it'd be the Giants. I think it's so bad. You just literally walk in and be like, we just forget this happened. Like, there's no positives you're going to get out of it. There's nothing to dwell on. You burn the tape, and try to regroup. I mean, it was that god awful. Daniel Jones wasn't good. Line wasn't good. The defense wasn't good. Saquon really wasn't good. There's no positives there.
Special teams wasn't good.
No, that's what I mean. Like as a whole, that is literally about as bad as an NFL team could play.
Graham Gano got 1 kick blocked, missed the other one. It was terrible.
You literally just walk in and be like, we're starting over tomorrow. Like, this is, it's not a mulligan because it definitely counts, but our season starts next Sunday. We're not going to dwell on this game. Like, we get back to the drawing board, come up with a better game plan, and move on. I don't think they can play any worse.
I think the other thing too is that first drive, the Giants were moving the ball pretty well, and getting that field goal blocked, and just Dallas taking advantage of that and scoring off of it and things like that. It almost seemed like that just deflated that team, and so that worries me. If I'm a Giants fan, not only does that worry me because that's a division rival and it's a home game, first game of the year, but when you get in sticky situations like that, you face a little bit of adversity, how is that team going to respond? Like, are they just going to roll over every single time there's any adversity thrown their way? Because I guarantee you, if you go out there and you have Daniel Jones leading that offense and you want him to go put up, 250, 300 yards a game, you're going to get put in these situations all the time. So you better get used to battling adversity, because this first game proved that, you're not going to handle that too well.
I will say this, though, and you said that I watched the game. The Giants were moving the ball, yes, but it wasn't a sustainable move. So, I just brought the play chart just for fun. Saquon Barkley, 5-yard run. Daniel Jones scrambled for 8 yards and then got a 15-yard unnecessary roughness on top of that. Daniel Jones passed to Saquon Barkley for no gain. Saquon Barkley for 9 yards. Saquon Barkley for 5 yards. Matt Breida for 6 yards. Daniel Jones scrambled for 11 yards. Saquon Barkley for no gain. Daniel Jones scrambled for 8 yards. These are all passing plays where he couldn't throw the ball and he ran. Then they took a false start penalty. Then they fumbled a snap, and then they got the blocked field goal. So, yeah, they moved the ball, but broken down plays in which he was scrambling a lot. And then the second drive is incomplete, 10-yard sack punt. The third drive was pick 6. The first drive, they moved the ball, but it wasn't – you can tell when a drive and a team is moving the ball sustainable, right? Like when you watch the Super Bowl, when Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt, when the Rams won the Super Bowl over the Bengals, the Rams were not moving the ball sustainably. They were just throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp was incredible. He was best player on the field by far. But everybody in the whole world knew Matt Stafford was throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. It became non-sustainable. That's why the Bengals had so much success in the second half of that game. When I look at that Giants first drive, it wasn't sustainable. And, Dallas just absolutely had their way with them. Was Dable right to keep Jones in, keep getting his ass kicked? Yes, he was. You paid him $40 million.
Paid him $40 million, and you want to see what he's made of too. And it's I think somebody just put there's no leaders there. Daniel Dempsey. I don't necessarily disagree because I don't think I want to say Saquon's not a leader. He's not a vocal guy though. Saquon's gonna be more of a lead by example type guy. And if you're the quarterback, I mean, you kind of have to be a leader of your offense on the field. You got to be the vocal guy. You got to be the guy that people want to go to battle with. And I don't know if that's the case in New York. I would say the first quarter this upcoming weekend is going to be very interesting for that Giants team. I'd be very curious to see what they look like.
Yeah. Well, they're playing Arizona.
I do disagree, though, that he should have kept Daniel Jones in. I think to your point, you gave him $40 million. The game was clearly out of hand. There is no, 40-point play in your playbook. I get it. You want to see what he's made of, things like that. But going out there and getting absolutely abused, I mean, every single play, the Giants are going back there and they're going to be dropping back to pass. And the Cowboys have, one of the best pass rushes in the entire league. So they literally get to just pin their ears back and go after the quarterback and not have to worry about the run. And you saw it pretty much every play. That's why he got sacked 7 times. So I don't think you keep your franchise quarterback in at that point in the game when it's clearly over. You even saw it in the Browns game. They pulled Joe Burrow with about 6 minutes left, and that game was only 24-3. And Joe Burrow didn't play in the preseason. Now I get it's a little bit different because Burrow had the injury in the preseason, but you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. And I think Brian Daboll did a bad job there.
I like that. That was nice. That was nice. Let's get into a preview we're 48 minutes in doing recap. Let's get into a preview of week 2. We'll talk about a couple games this week. Let's talk about the Thursday night game. Philadelphia Eagles are at home. They're going to play against the Minnesota Vikings, who are coming on the road after losing week 1 to a Tampa Bay team that they should never have lost to. Never have lost to. Is this a bad spot for the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me just make something very clear before we get into the game, and I'll get to you guys, I promise. The Philadelphia Eagles offensively will struggle the first 6 weeks of the season. Let me repeat that. I said this a month ago. I said this 2 months ago. The Philadelphia Eagles offensively will struggle for the first month and a half of the season. Now you lose James Bradbury, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship. 3 defensive starters are already out after week 1. Jalen Hurts didn't look great week 1 versus New England. Granted, it was a downpour. It was a monsoon for the first half. But Mac Jones didn't seem to have a problem with that in the second half. Where the Philadelphia Eagles offense did not look like they were scheming players open. It looked all, and Jalen Hurts took a lot of hits that I don't want to see my quarterback taking. Like last year, Jalen Hurts was getting down. He was getting out of the way of those hits in the beginning of the season. It looked like he wasn't taking the brunt of the hits. Versus New England, he was getting beat up, man. That offensive line didn't look great. He didn't have much time back there. It looked bad. Their offense looked bad. Them opening up as a 7.5-point favorite over Minnesota is wild to me. I don't agree with that. I think Justin Jefferson has been waiting for this game ever since Darius Slay owned him and all the talk that happened after the game when they played last year, week 2. This is not a situation for Philadelphia to walk in and take lightly. I think this is a really gettable spot for Minnesota. I believe it. Shally, you're a fellow Eagles fan. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are walking into this game? Are you confident that they win the game Thursday night?
I'm confident they win. I don't know if they cover. But that being said, I think Minnesota looks like they're going to be missing a starter or 2 on defense, plus their starting centers out. Should give the guys in the middle of the defensive line, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they should be able to eat all night there. And honestly, Minnesota didn't look good either. I mean, so I don't know what kind of confidence Minnesota would have walking in here that they're going to beat us either. They look terrible against the Tampa Bay team, like you said, that they should stomp at home. Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to say he didn't look great. He didn't look good. I'm not going to give him as much credit as you did. I'm not going to blame it on the weather because, like you said, Mac Jones had no problem throwing the ball. I think they looked great the first drive. They went right down the field, running the ball. And then, I have to agree with you with what you said earlier. I feel like after that, when he had to call, plays on the fly and kind of adjust the tempo and the game situation, I don't think he called a good game. I think the offense looked really stagnant. Offensive line did not play great, and on top of that, New England does have a good defense. I mean, so you got to give credit where it's due there. They weren't playing against a bad defense by any means. That being said, it is week 1. I am going to do what, go against what I normally don't do, and that is chill out a little bit. This is the problem you have when guys don't play preseason. I don't care what anybody says in any sport, no matter what it is. Preseason is not the same speed as regular season. It's not the same intensity. Guys, get tired halfway through the game because they're really not in game shape yet. I think Minnesota will look better. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Eagles will look better as well. Short week going on the road, after, a really bad Tampa Bay loss. I don't think that's conducive for Minnesota to come down here and win.
I think that the Minnesota Vikings didn't look that bad offensively outside of Kirk Cousins' turnovers. He threw an interception and he had 2 fumbles. They moved the ball fine. They had 400 yards of offense.
I get it, but I mean, again, you're playing against the Eagles defense. Tampa Bay still has a very good defense. It's going to be the strength of their team this year.
Agreed.
And they, kind of let Jettis have his and kind of, played a lot of bend and don't break it all type defense, everywhere else, and it worked. But again, Kirk Cousins doesn't have a good track record here.
I feel weird about the Josh Jobe, Jordan Addison matchup that we're going to see for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I think Slay and Jefferson with a little safety help, I believe that Slay will be fine, but Jobe versus Addison is where I feel like we're really missing it. And I don't think they'll move Avonte Maddox to the outside for this game. He's a primary slot corner. Cottrell, what are your thoughts on the game? How do you see it going?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for the Eagles right now is, them not playing in preseason. I think the offensive line being the struggle was probably the most, I don't want to say concerning, but I would say most unexpected thing, just because of how dominant they have been and just that level that you expect them to play at. And I do think they are going to be much better this game. I think they got a game to get their feet under them, things like that. And I also think, the Patriots have a good pass rush. They have a better pass rush than what Minnesota does. And so I think offensively, the Eagles will be fine. And I think defensively, the only place where, you don't have that depth really is linebacker. I do think losing to Kobe Dean is going to be a big blow. But the nice thing is that, Minnesota doesn't have a rushing attack or anything like that. I mean, Alexander Madison isn't a guy that's going to scare you. So I think you can get away with missed assignments at linebacker more this game than you could in other games. Obviously, you don't want that in any game, but I think this is the one game where you kind of get away with that because Minnesota isn't going to be, a heavy rushing team. Now, I know Bradbury's not going to be there, but I think you guys are pretty deep at corner. You talk about Jobe and, being uneasy there with that matchup against Addison. I think, just with that Eagles team as a whole, if you have to kind of get creative, you throw Keely out there, you throw Eli Ricks out there. I just think those guys will have confidence in that game. And I think Kirk's going to struggle. It's another primetime game. He's got to go play the Eagles. I'm pretty confident the Eagles are going to go in there. 7.5-point spread doesn't scare me at all. I like the Eagles, and I like them to cover.
Well, the Eagles signed Nicholas Morrow and put Nakobe Dean on IR today. So he'll be out for minimum 3 weeks. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But, let's get into another game this week. Are you picking this game, Shally?
The Eagles game?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I'm not either. I think the Eagles win this game 24-21.
I was going to say 20, like 21-17, somewhere in there. I hate Thursday night games. I think the only promising thing is for me, Gainwell doesn't look like he's going to play. I think you get a lot.
He's already rolled out.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of DeAndre Swift tomorrow night. I really do. I think you're going to get a healthy dose of him, and I think it's going to kind of be his breakout game at home in front of those fans. And I think the Eagles take care of business.
I'll go 27-17 Eagles.
I would like that. Give me a little bit of breathing room. Next game on the docket, we got – hang on. Let me pull it up real quick. Sorry. I'm getting from my notes to the docket. Next game on the docket, we got the Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, he looked bad week 1 versus Houston. That Houston defense looked very good. They look
Rhymes.
Listen, I think that Houston defense is going to be scary good in a few years. I love Will Anderson Jr. I love D'Amico Ryans, Derek Stingley. Like, they have a team over there, man. But Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. We don't talk about a team that looked terrible. We didn't talk about the Bengals looking awful. The Cleveland Browns annihilated them. That was embarrassing. And that was embarrassing on every ounce of it. Look, I'll tell you right now, Cleveland Browns defense looked great. Jim Schwartz's scheme looked awesome. Joe Burrow looked terrible. Looked like he needed some more preseason work. I understand that he was been hurt. It's look like he's still trying to catch up. But I don't want to take anything away when Myles Garrett's dribbling a ball, invisible ball in between his legs, and just destroying your offensive line. I felt bad for Joe. I felt bad for the Bengals, but the Browns looked great. What do you think happens week 2? Two teams, in my opinion, rather disappointing. One team came out with a win. One team came out with a loss. Obviously, the Bengals way more disappointing than the Ravens. Who do you got in this one? Bengals are a 3.5-point favorite in this one. Is Vegas trying to tell you something? I don't know. Shally, who do you think in this one? What do you like? Bengals, Ravens.
I mean, I think Baltimore looked good, but again, I mean, it's they're going to come in. They're banged up already. Lost their starting running back in J.K. Dobbins, which he's got to be on the short list of maybe one of the unluckiest players in the history of the NFL. It's just crazy at this point. The Bengals, I feel like, are in kind of the situation as the Giants. I don't know if you can play much worse. I think you have to give the Browns credit. I think they came out with, a good scheme right off the bat. Like you said, Jim Schwartz and that defense seemed to respond really well to it. And they just bullied the Bengals around all game. Joe Burrow looked terrible. It's tough. Like week 1 in the NFL is almost becoming, I don't want to say it's becoming unwatchable because it's opening weekend and everybody wants to watch football, but it's really across the board. It's not good football. It's not. I mean, you can say what you want. If you want to be honest about it and unbiased about it, you had a couple teams here and there look good, look like they, that they were ready to go. But, this none of these starters playing in the preseason anymore is making week 1 kind of blah. It just, I don't know. I mean, obviously we all know the Bengals are a better football team than what they showed last week. But Cleveland was just better. Cleveland looked like they were ready to start the season. Cincinnati didn't. I don't think Joe Burrow plays that bad at home. In Baltimore, I think it's got to change a couple things offensively, and they got a little bit lucky playing Houston opening week because it's I don't care what you say. As good as the defense is, Houston's offense is terrible. So, they kind of got a warm up game to kind of ease into this. But that being said, like you said, Lamar Jackson didn't look good by any means. Texans are going to be. I will tell you this. I would say Texans steal a game from somebody at the end of the year that really needs it. Towards the end of the season, they probably wreck somebody's playoff hopes.
I can't wait to see what DeMeco Ryans does to Anthony Richardson. I think they're gonna feast on him. The problem is, I think CJ Stroud looks lost. The guy looks lost back there.
Said it.
He looks like a rookie quarterback, and listen, I give them credit, and I'll even give CJ Stroud credit. I mean, he's going to go through his growing pains this year. He's going to go out there. He's going to look awful. His numbers are not going to be good. Like they're probably going to be really, really bad by the end of the season. In terms of turnovers and completion percentage and all that good things. But listen, like you said, it's a young team, and they have a great head coach. They have a great head coach that's going to turn that team around, and that's what they needed there. They needed somebody to come in there and change the culture. You already saw it on the defensive side. They'll figure out the offense once CJ Stroud gets his feet underneath them, and they'll be better. So, I think the Indy game, the Texas game is a snooze fest. I don't know what the over-under is, but take the under.
Pretty sure 39.
Oh, God, take the under. I literally could see that being like 13-6. It is, but back to your original question, I'm going to go Bengals. I can't see them playing that way 2 weeks in a row. They're too good, and they have too many good players on their team. I think they got their wake up call. They come out hungry at home, first home game. How
about the Monken offense? He said the Monken offense didn't look that different. It did look different. They spread everybody out, and they still look bad. I don't understand why we think Todd Monken spreading everyone out and making the offense much like Lamar Jackson played at Louisville is the answer in the NFL. He has proven to you time and time again, throwing the ball over the middle is his strength. Throwing the ball outside the numbers is not his strength. I don't know
Yeah,
why spreading the offense out and creating space helps an inaccurate quarterback.
Well, it's inaccurate, and the reads have to be even faster. But the biggest issue with that offense is in the NFL, everybody's faster. When you're playing it in college, the defenses can't cover the ground quick enough, and if you have bigger windows to throw the ball, you have more time to throw the ball. You don't have it in the NFL. Everybody's fast in the NFL because we've seen Lamar Jackson how he is with Mark Andrews. He's great over the middle. He has no problem. It's just really he's almost backwards if you're being honest. A lot of quarterbacks throw the ball well outside when they have more space to throw the ball and struggle over the middle with reading, dropping linebackers, linemen, zone blitzes, things of that nature. Lamar Jackson's kind of the opposite. He when the play is directly in front of him, he's okay. Like he excels there. It's when he has to go outside and really read drops and all those and timing patterns, all those things. That's where he really struggles.
Yeah.
But it's listen. They were banged up on the outside too. They haven't played together. That was the first time any of them have played together with Zay and Odell and all that. But it's people got to get their timing down. And again, it kind of goes back to my week one comment. Like you're not really going to know what any of these teams are until like week 3 when they have a bunch of reps underneath them, game speed, and then I think you start seeing the good teams play well, and we'll kind of go back to normal where we thought we were going to be.
Control, what's your thoughts on this one?
So, I mean, I have the Bengals winning this one. I told you guys before the year I thought the Ravens were going to be the team to win the division. I think the Ravens are just in a bad spot right now. You talk about their offensive struggles in week 1. I'm 100% with you guys. Lamar got sacked 4 times, and he just didn't look great out there. I think the biggest thing though was that didn't have his favorite target in Mark Andrews. Normally when things get musty, you go back to old reliable, and that guy wasn't out there. You bring up the point of OBJ and Zay Flowers being new there. I thought Zay looked good in his first game, but that chemistry and that cohesion will definitely start to come once Mark Andrews is back out there. But he's still limited. Who knows if he's going to play this week or not? But outside of that, as of today, they have 4 starters not practice. Starting corner and Marlon Humphrey not going. So if that's the case, you're going to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins going up against your number 2 and number 3 corners all game. Your starting left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, didn't practice today. Starting center, Tyler Linderbaum, didn't practice. And your starting safety, Marcus Williams, didn't practice. Those are 4 guys who have been Pro Bowlers or all-pro caliber players in the past, not playing. So I think the Bengals will want to rebound, and I think they will. They go home, they make a statement win, and I think they take care of business.
Okay. I got the Bengals also. I think that the Bengals win the game. I think Burrow looks better. I think Chase and Higgins look better. Higgins was held to a goose egg. I think 0 catches versus Cleveland. Not many people got offers that Cleveland defense this past week. I think that the Bengals offense looks much better this week. I think the Bengals still win here. Next on the docket is the Prince versus the King. Jacksonville Jaguars host the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes. What do you think? Do you think Travis Kelce plays? It's actually looking like he's going to play. How much do you think that matters? I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs go into Jacksonville, win the football game, but I think it's rather close. I think that there's a couple turnovers here and there. I think Kadarius Toney has a big game. I really believe that's going to happen. I think Andy Reid will figure out a way to try to get him more involved. He looked awful last week, and I cannot wait until Cottrell gets into his conversation about him. But I like the Chiefs this week. I like the Chiefs to win this one. I think it'll be 26-23.
I like the Chiefs as well. You talk about Travis Kelce being back. I think the biggest part, I know their defense didn't look bad against the Lions at all, but I think a big part be Chris Jones being back. I don't just mean production wise. Obviously, he's one of, if not the best interior defensive lineman. Aaron Donald's healthy, so I'm going to say he's second right now. But just that presence being back there, being back with those guys, I think that's going to give them a lot of motivation, and he's going to bring just another added element to that team. On the offensive end, I do think Travis Kelce will be a big help for them. Even if he is on limited snap counts, things like that. You saw that, for lack of better terms, Patrick Mahomes looked uncomfortable on certain third downs and things like that. Not just because he couldn't read anything, but, dropping back, throwing to Kadarius Toney and having him drop those passes. If Travis Kelce is playing in those games, I don't even think Patrick Mahomes looks at Kadarius Toney's way, with the game on the line and things like that. So I definitely think it will be a big help. And I think the Chiefs know that if they start off the season 0-2, then they have a lot of ground to make up, because the past 5 years, the playoffs have ran through Arrowhead. So they're never going to be in any doubt of not making the playoffs of anything like that. But you lose 2 in a row to start off the year, especially lose to a team in Jacksonville who we all think is going to win their division going away and could potentially challenge you for that number 1 seed. I think they go in there with that chip on their shoulder, and they have to take care of business. And so they will.
Shai, what do you think?
I agree with Tom Gallo. I think the Jags hold serve at home. I think it's a close game. I think Jags pull it out. I think Kelce probably plays. I think he's definitely on a snap count. I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's even close to it. I think they're going to panic mode a little bit because they lost last week without him. I agree. Chris Jones coming back is obviously a huge addition, but he's not in game shape either. He's going to be on a snap count. He obviously helps because he's that damn good. If he steps foot on a football field, he's probably the best player on the field. But I think Jacksonville plays well at home. I think they looked good last week. Defense, I think, needs to tighten up a couple things. But, they went into Indy against a good Indy team and put up 31 points. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball against Kansas City. Even
Alvin Ridley looked great.
Correct.
That drop pass that turned into an interception.
A good Indy team?
A good Indy defense, I said.
Oh, okay.
Even with Chris Jones on the field, Calvin Ridley. I think Trevor's gonna be able to throw the ball against Kansas City. I really do. I think that secondary is not nothing's going to instill any kind of confidence in you if you're a Chiefs fan. I think Mahomes will play better. I do 100% agree with Gene. I've been saying this all week. People look at me like I got 3 eyeballs. I think Tony has a good game. I don't think Andy Reid's going to desert him and kind of let him, take half the field away from a defense. I think they go to him and they go to him early, let him get a couple catches, make a play, get him into the game, get his confidence up. And I think it helps Mahomes as well. I think it's a really good game. I think it's a good game between 2 teams that are probably most likely in your Final Four in the AFC, in my opinion anyway. But I think Jacksonville gets it done at home. I think they squeak one out.
All right, let's get into pick 'em, boys. We got a fun slate of pick 'em. We got to get an NCAA. We got some UFC action. Now, granted, we went a little deep on NFL this week. Oh God, did you have to throw that up? I was having a good show until you threw that shit up, Cottrell. Now, but luckily we have a very light slate of college football games. And if you want the more in-depth view on college football, you got to tune in to Coast to Coast. That show is absolutely on fire. Black Elmore is the better version of me. And then you still got Scholastic Shally and College Cottrell. So it's a fun show. Tune in Saturday. But let's get into our NFL picks. Okay, by the way, because I've held the trophy as long as I've held it, I'm still keeping the order. Cottrell, Shally, me.
Goodness.
Yes.
Here, listen to this.
Wait, time out.
Listen to this guy.
Every other week, it's whoever's the best record gets to go pick the order. And now you're like, oh, I got the trophy.
Get a load of this guy.
You didn't get a win.
Get a load of this guy.
3 straight years, guys.
You're going last.
Get a load of this guy.
Not taking my shine away. It's probably the only time I get to go first the rest of the year. I'm going first. You're going last.
All right, that's fine.
Oh. Struggling a second.
That's fine.
That's what he wanted anyway.
That is what I want. I wanted to go last.
All right. Now you're going last because I said so, not because you said so.
I like that. I ain't gonna lie.
All right. I'm going to start with Cottrell's Cleveland Browns, -2.5 at Pittsburgh. Got to like what you saw if you're a Browns fan. I don't want to jinx the people in Cleveland. I hate the state, but I'm not going to jinx it. But I think they look great. I think Pittsburgh looked out of whack. It doesn't look like Deontay Johnson's going to play. Kenny Pickett did not look good. Some rumors going around he was playing with concussion possibly in the second half. That being said, I think Cleveland's defense is too much. I like their offense. They're going to be able to run the ball against that Pittsburgh defense. Nick Chubb and company. Deshaun Watson, I think, has a little, just going to take baby steps, every other week, or not every other week, each and every week. So I like Cleveland. They only got to win by a field goal. I think that's kind of what it is. I think it's a field goal type of game. divisional rivals in Pittsburgh. Fortunately, I got the Steelers starting 0-2. I got the Browns starting 2-0. Second, Chicago. Sorry, not the right game. I'm going New Orleans -3 at Carolina. Listen, I know me and Gene, even Cottrell at some point, are big Bryce Young fans. It's going to be a long season in Carolina. I think he had plays where he looked really good and did some really nice things. Chalk is not going to play again. Adam Thielen's going to be your number one. That defense is solid. I just don't know how long they're going to hold up all game. I like New Orleans. They have a very good defense going against the rookie quarterback. I know it's at home, but I like New Orleans -3 on the road. And last but not least, I'm going to take the Sea Chickens +6. I don't think they could play as bad as they did last week. Again, another team that I don't think can afford to start 0-2 with as good as San Francisco looked in that division. I think Detroit looked good in Kansas City. I also think Kansas City let them off the hook a little bit with the drops, the penalties, and things of that nature. I love Dan Campbell. I love the Lions. I also don't think they played as good a game as a lot of people are giving them credit for in Kansas City. I think Kansas City had a little bit of hand in them losing that game. So I'm going to go Seahawks +6. I think Detroit still ultimately wins the game. I just think it's a lot closer than that. I think it's within 3 or 4 points. So those are my 3 picks for the week.
So, Charlie, the one thing I like about the Seahawks pick, and I almost picked them, is the things that Seattle does well is what Detroit's going to try to do. The cornerback tandem that they have is easily good enough to slow down Amon-Ra St. Brown and that Lions receiving group. The Lions to win this game, they're going to have to run the football a lot. And I think that's what they're going to need to do. And on the other side of the ball, the Lions corners, the secondaries, they struggle on their defense. Their front seven's the best part of it. And I think that the Seahawks have some matchup advantages there. So I understand that pick a lot. Cottrell, let me hear him.
All right. So this week for me, there was a number that I absolutely loved across the board. 39.5. I love the number. Every matchup pretty much where I saw it. So first game I got Jets at Cowboys. Give me the under 39.5. I love the under there. I think Dallas is going to take care of business. They're going to win the football game, but the spread's at 9.5. Now, I think that Jets defense is so good, they're going to still have Dak struggling. And I know the Cowboys scored 40 points last week, but a lot of that wasn't because of Dak. Dak had just a regular, pedestrian game. And I think you're going to see more of that this week. The Jets aren't going to just give up, points in special teams and give up points on offense. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think the Cowboys have control and they ultimately win. But I could easily see that game being one of those 20-13 caliber, kind of games. So love the under there. Second pick, Browns at Steelers. Give me the under 39.5. You saw how dominant the Browns defense was last week. You saw them take care of business against Joe Burrow and that Cincinnati Bengals offense. The Steelers don't have Deontay Johnson this week. You saw how Kenny Pickett struggled last week against the pass rush of the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to take control there. And I think for the Browns offensively, you're going to see Nick Chubb be in the mix a lot more. They're going to try and control that tempo because this is one of those AFC North gritty football games. I love the under 39.5 for the Monday night game. And then my last under, New York Giants at the Arizona Cardinals, under 39.5. The New York Giants offense stinks, and the Arizona Cardinals offense also stinks. I hate Daniel Jones this year. You got Joshua Dobbs on the other side for the Arizona Cardinals. They openly told you that they were tanking this year. I get it. They had a good performance against the Commanders team. They almost snuck one out, but that won't be one that has any fireworks. That's going to be an ugly one. 17-13, 17-10. I think your under is pretty safe in that one. Don't trust either of those offenses score more than 23 points to have you in any jeopardy of the over happening. So those are my picks of the week. Love that 39.5 number.
That was entertaining. I appreciate that. 39.5. I'll remember that all week. All right, I'm going to go with over-under start, and then I'll give you 2 winners. 60% of the time when a team is a 10-point favorite, the under hits. If the dog wins, it's normally an ugly game. If the favorite wins, it's normally a blowout. I'm going to go against that trend because I really feel strongly about this one. Give me the over 47 in the Raiders at Bills game. I think Josh McDaniels has enough to move the ball and score a couple points. And I think the Buffalo Bills offense will be very, very ready to decimate that very overrated Raiders defense. I think this game is very high scoring. I could see it being 48-24. And I think they go over before the fourth quarter starts. So give me the over 47 Buffalo versus Las Vegas. The next two games, and I'll make this very clear, these are the last two times I will trust these two teams if they fail me this week. I love the Chicago Bears plus 2.5 this week to go into Tampa. I think Baker Mayfield is super overrated with that Tampa Bay Bucks team. I think the Chicago Bears are still underrated. I think they have a good season in them. I think Justin Fields is a good quarterback. 2.5 is a weird number, and they're trying to get you to bet Tampa Bay. That's why they do it 2.5. Oh, they only have to win by a field goal. Give me the Bears plus 2.5. They will win the game outright over Tampa in Tampa. And the last one, the Arizona Cardinals are awful. They are terrible. They almost won on the road at Washington. Washington isn't much better. Sam Howell needs – you talk about rookie quarterbacks. I know he's not a rookie, but he has to get his feet wet underneath him also. And that Broncos defense is very good. So give me the Broncos minus 3.5 for the last time. If it doesn't happen, Broncos country, let's ride. They're my three.
Love the Broncos pick. I almost took it, especially because it looks like Jerry Jeudy's on track to play as well.
I'll put it to you this way. If the Bears and Broncos, they'll be put on my never bet list if they lose this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers Monday Night Football game drives me nuts, though, because George Pickens is already having issues with Kenny Pickett, the coaching staff. He's complaining. Deontay Johnson's out. It's a recipe for disaster for Pittsburgh. I almost took Cleveland. It just looked too easy, and I didn't want to. When something looks too easy to me, I steer clear of it. I steer clear of the game, but I don't see a way that Cleveland should lose this football game. But it's an AFC North game. Division games kind of get weird, so steer clear. Let's get into college football. We want to recap two games, 100%, maybe 3, but 2 games, 100%. I am enamored. I want everybody. I apologize multiple times for being wrong. I'm wrong a lot, and I apologize for it. Got to give me credit for that. I need every single person that was in the chat. I need every single person that was commenting and the messages I received. Hook 'em horns, baby. The Texas Longhorns beat Alabama outright. I called it. I have Texas in my college football playoff, and I was told I was an idiot. So guess what? Hook 'em. Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy. Listen, me and Cottrell have been on Quinn Ewers for a while. I told you the Longhorns were back this year, and I will now release it. I didn't release it before. I did it intentionally. My college football playoff prediction. The Texas Longhorns knock off the Georgia Bulldogs and win the Natty. I'm putting it out there on record now. Quinn Ewers over Georgia. Texas wins the Natty. It's on record. I was called an idiot before. Call me an idiot again. Give me the Longhorns. I want to talk about Texas stopping Jalen Milroe. Not a good quarterback. Not a good quarterback. Not a good quarterback. I'm tired of hearing, well, it's Nick Saban. It's Tuscaloosa. Nah, dog. Quinn Ewers went in there and gave them the spanking he should have gave him last year if he didn't get hurt. Texas, baby. What were your thoughts? Kachaw, I'm going to pass the rock to you because you've equally been on the Quinn Ewers bandwagon with me.
I have.
How you feeling, brother?
I felt really good watching that game because it was like everything that we've seen finally come to fruition. We said, last year Texas would have beat them if Quinn didn't get hurt. And we saw what it looked like when he played the full game. And I said it before. I thought Quinn Ewers is one of the best quarterback prospects in the entire country. Clearly had all the arm talent, and the talent is still there around him. Xavier Worthy is there. I get it, they lost Bijan, but Quinn Ewers was putting the ball wherever he wanted to, and he had no fear. Caleb Downs, Kool-Aid McKinstry, he didn't care. Whoever it was, he was throwing the ball there, and he was putting it on a rope. And I got to give credit to that Texas defense because they stepped up to the challenge. And I've been as critical as anybody on Jalen Milroe. I've said it time and time again that I don't think he is that good of a prospect, and I do think it will take some time with him. And I even said I think Bama loses 3, maybe even 4 games this year. But Texas showing that and going out there and proving that, to me, I think that says everything about them, and that's their toughest game of the year. Yeah, I get it. You got a Red River rivalry game where you're going against Oklahoma, things like that. But I think Texas is in a spot now that if they keep their eye on the prize and they attack every week and focus on that week ahead of them, they are going to be better than every single team in their path. And they have a clear lane to the college football playoff. I had them in my playoff, and I had them at 11-1. I thought they would beat Bama, but just in the weird situation that they slipped up in that game, I thought they still had a path by winning the Big 12, running the table, and getting into the playoff. But now there's really no doubt about it. You got to stay healthy. But outside of that, Texas is back. And so I was happy to see the Horns ultimately hook them against Bama and Nick Saban.
And Chow, you picked them too.
Listen, I mean, this is what we
to cover.
To cover. Yeah. I think, I do have him in my college football playoff, just like a Trell. I had him at 11-1 in the number 3 seed. I think you can make a great argument as long as they keep their eye on the prize. I think at the end of the year, you're going to be able to make an argument they should be the 1 seed. I think Oklahoma is the toughest game. They're probably going to have to play them twice, which is it gets a little bit dicey sometimes. But, you guys have both said pretty much everything I wanted to say. This is what we thought was going to happen last year, and it didn't. Quinn got hurt, and Bryce Young had one of the best drives, ever. And that's how they lost. That's what it took for them to lose. Quinn Ewers went into Tuscaloosa, stayed healthy. That 50-yard pass that he threw to the top of the stadium and down is I said it in the chat. It's one of the prettiest passes I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible. They look good. I mean, Alabama is exactly kind of, I think, where we all thought they were going to be this year. This is one of those weird transition years for Alabama. I think there's, starting a completely, breaking in a completely brand new quarterback, a lot of new pieces. It was just going to be a weird year for them, and I still think, they'll win a bunch of games this year. But I agree with Cottrell. I had them for 2 or 3 losses, and that's probably about where they're going to be, and I think they're really good next year. I think, you watch that game, I think you see the athleticism with Milroe, and, there's a lot of nice things he can do, but he's not a good quarterback yet. He's not. He has a lot of developing to do with staying in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield, throwing the football, all the things that we said Bryce Young is great at. It's all the stuff he's got to learn. I think that defense is very young. I think they'll get better as the year goes. I do. But, they were just beat by a better football team. Texas is older. They have more experience. They had a chip in their shoulder because of what happened last year, and they went in Tuscaloosa and they just took it to Nick. And you got to give him credit. It's not an easy place to play. I think it's Nick Saban's 4th loss in that stadium in the last 10 years. Like, it's an incredible stat. I don't expect Alabama to fall off the face of the earth and be different. They're going to be really good next year. But this is just a weird year for them. And we all picked it right off the bat at the beginning of the year when we talked about it. It was going to be a transition year for them, and this proves it. And Texas is really damn good. It's I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they're going to beat Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State, whoever else makes it. But they're firmly in the damn conversation now. That is a good football team. Like I said, they got to stay focused. They can't get too high after this. Take care of business in the Big 12, punch your ticket, and hopefully stay healthy. That's always the big thing. Any college team is always one injury away from, to a really, we saw it last year in the Alabama game. You got to keep your stars healthy. So if they can do all that, they are firmly in that conversation about winning the national championship this year. They're that good.
I have to make a confession, guys, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I duked you guys. I got you guys. You guys didn't know it was coming. I have all along been on the Colorado bandwagon. The whole time. I was just looking for a reason to drive.
I'm not doing this with you.
To drive 400 miles, 6 hours and 16 minutes to Akron, Ohio, to visit my friend. It's all it was. I was looking for a reason. You guys didn't know it, and it's okay. I hid it from you guys, but I've always been a Shakur Sanders guy. Travis Hunter. Like, I've always been on the Colorado bandwagon. And we got to bring up Colorado because, once again, they're proving me right. I'm absolutely kidding with you guys, but I will be driving out to Ohio to deliver a cheesesteak to my man, Cottrell, because Colorado whooped up on Nebraska. They're the best story in college football. I am a fan. I am looking forward to my trip out to Ohio. I'm all good with it.
What was the bet again?
If they win 7 football games, I drive to Ohio and deliver Cottrell a cheesesteak.
And 6 was a push?
No, 6 was a push.
6 was a loss.
No, well, that's fine. 6 is a loss.
No, you guys.
Unless it was the Oregon State. It was like Oregon State. If they beat Oregon State and that's their 6th win, then it's a push.
Oh, yeah, if they beat Oregon
that's
State.
what it was. I knew there was some stipulation with the 6th win.
I just wanted to see Cottrell. That was the real reason, guys.
It is. I won't be that far from Cottrell this weekend, but it is. It is. I mean, listen. As great as the Texas win was, in the Florida State over LSU, Colorado still everybody is the thing everybody's talking about. I think I'm still cautiously optimistic because they got to play somebody. I mean, I know Nebraska in name is a big team. They are not good. Matt Rule's a good coach, but they are in by definition a transition year. They lost a lot of kids, brought new kids in. They're still a year or two away. I think TCU. I actually think TCU was the better win, and I'm not. I think we're going to see TCU in that like 7-5 range, 8-4 at the end of the year. I think TCU got a little bit overrated because of what they did last year. But that being said, you have to give all the credit in the world to that team. They are miles ahead of where everybody thought they were going to be. Miles, and that you got to give that all the credit to Dion and the coaching staff, and going in and doing it his way and getting those kids ready to play. I mean, I watched College Game Day the first week, and there was 2 or 3 guys on the panel that said they were going to win 2 games. One guy said 3 games. They're going to have that done after this weekend. I got bad news for you. So all those people, Dan Mullen, Trey Murdoch, all those guys, you're all wrong already. They already got you guys covered on your over-unders. We're going to see real quick what they are. I don't think they get distracted this week. I think, I'm picking this game, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But, I don't think there's any shot in hell they lose this football game on Saturday. And they got USC and Oregon back-to-back. So it will be we will see really what they are. By the end of September, you're going to have a real good idea of what Colorado is.
All right, Cottrell, what games are we previewing this week?
So, I mean, the first one that we have is, if you guys want to go,
let's just be honest. This week sucks. Let's just be honest. Like this is like I don't know what to call it. Like this is like it's like Christmas Eve. It's not quite Christmas Day. It's still good because it's college football, but this is the last week. There's a lot of crummy games. And then we get into conference.
It's not even Christmas Eve. It's like December 23rd. Like you still got to go to work. You got to wait. Like your family's not even in town yet. Like you just gotta wait for the good stuff.
It's the end of the year because you're exhausted. You're dragging ass at work. You gotta pretend you're excited for the company luncheon. Because they're gonna bring you in some trashy hoagie tray and tell you did a good job this year and everything else. But that's where we're at right now. A couple
cookies,
Yeah, pizza, some stale cookies that somebody didn't want to eat. Like that's where we're at.
Bad pizza too. It's not good pizza. They didn't find out.
No, they went to Little Caesars because they can get like 20 pieces for $16 bucks.
like a 6.4 pizza. Portland, right? Like you're not getting a 7 pizza. It's like a 6.4. You know, the guy might be wearing a shirt that's 6 sizes too small. That's where we're at this week. So next week we get into conference play, and there's a lot of good matchups next week. So it is, we just gotta listen. At the end of the day, you still gotta be happy.
I mean, next week you got Iowa at Penn State. You got Oregon State, Washington State. You got a lot of good ones. Florida State, Clemson,
Colorado, and Oregon.
Colorado,
Oregon. Yeah. Next week is going to be a
Ohio State, Notre Dame. The Ohio State's first loss of the season comes next week.
Woo! I didn't say it, Cottrell.
I did.
Kyle McCord, we're going to see what he is next week. So.
He's not that good, brother. My eyes don't lie.
We said the same thing about CJ. Give me time. Give him time. Give him time.
All right. So let's get into what are we previewing this week? We got slop on top of slop.
I guess we'll go Penn State, Illinois. Appease the people, I suppose.
Well, I mean, their biggest fan, Gene's here for like 4 more weeks, so we'll appease the Penn State fans. It is a Big Ten game. It's at Illinois, Champaign. Hate to say it, not that I think it's going to matter this week, but it is a place historically that Penn State does not play well. It's one of those weird things. They've gone there in the past with very good football teams and lost. I don't see it this week. Penn State. I don't know about Gene, but there's a lot of people jumping on that wagon right now because of what they did to Delaware last week. It's not even a Division I football team, but
it's accurate.
It is. Parts of them have been underwhelming, so we'll see. Illinois is a sneaky. They're tough. They're going to play good defense. They're not a team that's going to throw for 300 yards. They're going to try to run the ball, keep the game low scoring. Definitely not a trap game or anything like that. I think Penn State, takes care of business. But I think it's a game you look at halftime and you're probably going to be like, oh, like what's going on there? But then
why is it 10-3?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the game probably ends up like 27-10. Like I think they win comfortably. I don't think they're ever in any danger of losing. But Big Ten opener on the road, you never know. It is a drastic step up in competition from what they've played so far. So
100% it is. And I think Penn State still takes care of business. I really want to see their running back room just get more carries as a whole. I know they're keeping everyone healthy, but Katron Allen looks really good, and I just want to see him run more often. And I love Nicholas Singleton. I'm a fan. The guy's made me a fan. I love watching him play. I think Penn State wins the football game. I think it's closer than most people expect. I got a 28-17. I don't think they're ever in jeopardy of losing the football game, but I think Illinois keeps it close for a long time. I think Penn State relies on that run game. Drew Allar's only thrown 12 incomplete passes in 2 games. I think he looks like he's getting better and better each week. I understand Delaware stinks, but you might need a game like Delaware to get prepared for Illinois. So sometimes you need to be able to air that arm out and see what you have. Trust in your receivers in a live game. So I got Penn State in this one. I got them winning 28-17. I do not have them covering.
This game isn't one of my picks, but I am very confident in this one. I think Penn State, they win. I think Penn State, they cover. I'm taking them alt line in a couple parlays. I'll take them minus 20.5. I'm that confident in them. I think they win this game by 3 scores. Drew Aller has looked absolutely incredible. I don't care who was against. I saw Drew Aller step in, cold off the bench last year against Purdue, looked great. I saw him play in high school. I've been on the Drew Aller hype train since he committed to Penn State, in all honesty. Nick Singleton is an absolute monster. I think they're going to run all over that Illinois team. I get it. Illinois was pretty successful last year, but that success didn't come with anybody that's on that offense right now. Quarterback, not there. Their running back, not there. So I think Penn State will go into Illinois. They will take care of business, and this game gets ugly. I don't think Illinois has the horses to score 20 points on that Penn State defense. I think this game is 44-13. Like I see this being a big-time blowout, and Penn State doesn't bat an eye to Illinois.
Okay. Charlie, you already made your prediction. Want to move on?
Yeah, next game.
I'm ready to move off these games.
All right, next one. We got the barn burner in Kansas State at Missouri.
I'll go first on this one. I like Missouri on the upset. I don't care. I know that they struggled versus Middle Tennessee State. The Blue Raiders were rolling. They played Mizzou very tough. I don't care. I like Mizzou on the upset. Give me Brady. I'm gonna take Brady. And it might be not the Brady you think it is, but I'm gonna go Brady, and I'm gonna go Mizzou to take care of business at home. I think the spread is very telling. I think it's very telling for you. I just think that as a whole, Middle Tennessee is Kansas State is not that good. And I think that Missouri will take care of business at home. I like Missouri to win this game. Give me Brady Cook and give me Mizzou to win.
So I do agree with you. I do think Kansas State is overrated. I know they're top 15 now in the rankings, but I do think Kansas State is overrated. But I think they're going to have enough to get it done at Missouri. I think Will Howard is going to take care of business. I don't think he's going to turn the ball over against Mizzou. And Mizzou is one of those games that, for those, top 25 opponents, they do get rocking down there. You saw how electric the stadium was last year when they had that matchup against Georgia, and they took them to the brink there. But I think Kansas State will travel well, and I think they ultimately go and win that game. So I think it is rather close. I think the spread is about right where it needs to be, but I got Kansas State coming out with the win.
I agree with Cottrell. I think Kansas State wins. I don't think they cover, though. I think they win like 31-29, something like that. Mizzou, I mean, again, as long as everybody shows up, that stadium will it'll be, it's still an SEC team. So I mean, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good game. Kansas State, I think, is a little bit overrated. Haven't really played anybody yet. I'm going to actually agree with Gene too. Middle Tennessee, I can't remember who the other game was, but they gave somebody else fits the other week as well. I think they scored a decent amount of points. They're not a terrible football team. So it's not a typical non-power 5, just lose by 60 every week type football team. I like Kansas State. I think they have a little bit more. I could see that sucks. I could see Missouri winning, but I'm going to go with my original pick. I think Kansas State pulls it off. I just don't think they cover. I think they win by like 2 or 3.
Okay. Next on the docket.
Last game on the docket, we got the Tennessee Volunteers traveling to the Swamp, taking on those Florida Gators.
So I know you guys are ready to write off Tennessee as soon as you get a chance. I know you guys aren't Joe Milton fans. I understand that. But he's looked better for Tennessee. Maybe it was the organization. Maybe it was the situation. I like Tennessee, man. I think Tennessee is going to give it to Florida this week. I think they're a very well-coached football team. I like Tennessee as a whole. Joe Milton's looked good. Got 429 yards, 4 touchdowns so far in the season. And I have zero faith in Graham Mertz. So give me Tennessee in this one.
I'm going to go with Tennessee as well. And it's mainly because I think Tennessee's just a better football team, and it's because I think Florida stinks. I saw all I needed out of Florida in the Utah game. They beat some podunk team last week. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Tennessee is just going to be deeper. They're better. As long as Joe Milton doesn't do typical Joe Milton things, they'll win that game. I think it's 6.5 points, something like that. This is pretty much the only big test they have on the road. So if they can win this game and try to pull the upset at home against Georgia, I mean, this is kind of like their season, for lack of a better term. So I think they go into Florida to win. I have no confidence in Billy Napier right now. I have even less confidence in Graham Mertz scoring consistently against that Tennessee defense. Give me Joe Milton and the Vols. I think they win. I think they win by 10.
I'm picking this game, so you'll hear my breakdown here shortly. I know we're right at pick 'em. No need to waste time on it. So that's it.
Let's get in there and pick them then. I'm looking forward to Shalley's MLB questions. Once again, I'm getting my butt kicked in overall win-loss record. I'm 2-7 between NFL and NCAA football.
You're like in preseason mode for picking. You just got to snap out and you get the game speed. That's all.
I do. I called my shot and said I was going to beat you guys in college. And I got to worry about you guys beating me in the NFL. This is insanity.
Well, you put yourself in the hole picking Nebraska last week. I don't know what you were thinking there.
Well, I thought that you guys, I thought that, listen, I was trying to deliver a cheesesteak, if I'm being honest. All right, let's get rolling. What's the order, Cottrell?
So I'll go first. Gene, have you go second.
The roads between two thorns.
Yep, I'll have Bill go last here.
Just I'm a Michigan fan. That's all it is.
Yeah, he put you in the back of the bus.
I think going last is the advantage. I like going last.
No, I'll go last.
So my first pick, I like Ohio State at home minus 29.5 versus Western Kentucky. I haven't really said anything about Ohio State pretty much all season because they've been underwhelming. They've had 40-point games where they were expected to cover, and that was their spread. And this is the first time where Vegas went completely down, and they went down to 29.5. And I actually really like them at that number. I think Ohio State is a team that realizes that Notre Dame is next week, and I think this is the week where they have to get the offense clicking because, again, next week you don't get to test out any more things. You have to be fully ready to go, and so I expect that Ohio State team to get things going this week. And I think they cover that 29.5 at home before that big-time matchup next week. Second game, I like North Carolina at home minus 7.5 versus Minnesota. Minnesota is pretty much showing you already who they were. Last week, they had a 19-point win against Eastern Michigan, who Max School, nothing too impressive there. In their first week, that win against Nebraska, if you want to call that a good win because they gutted one out, you go right ahead. I think Drake May is going to carve that Minnesota defense, and Minnesota is not going to score more than 20 points against that Tar Heels defense. So I fully expect North Carolina to cover that 7.5 and take care of business at home. Then the last one, we already talked about a little bit here. I like Tennessee minus 6.5 at Florida. Graham Mertz stinks. Billy Napier should be on the hot seat after this season is over. I don't like the way that they call plays there. And Graham Mertz has shown you when things get crunchy, he's not the guy to go to. So I think Tennessee's defense will have him flustered even in the swamp. And, Gene already mentioned it. Joe Milton has looked good on offense for Tennessee. So I don't think there's anything that Florida does defensively that should stop that for him. I get it. Rivalry game, same conference, things like that. But I like Tennessee to roll in that one. I don't think that game's particularly close. So I love them minus 6.5. And my super dog for the week, a little bit of a weird one. I like Michigan State plus 16.5 at home versus Washington. Now, you'd probably be thinking, no Mel Tucker, why would you pick Michigan? I think that's a team who's going to play a little bit more inspired. They're going to play for each other, and I think they're going to play a little bit more free. At this point in the year, their season, for all intents and purposes, is over. So you get probably, one of your biggest non-conference matchup, because of course you got Ohio State and Michigan on the schedule, but non-conference wise, you get Michael Penix and that Washington offense to come to town. I think Michigan State gets up for this game and they keep it close. I like Washington to win, but I think this is going to be a one-possession game, and the Spartans are going to be in it until the end. So I like Sparty to cover that 16.5 at home for Super Dog.
Shall I? All right, it's on me. My fault. My apologies. I'll start one you already gave. I'm in a college basketball mood right now. I think Minnesota's the worst 2-0 team in the country. Give me UNC to beat Minnesota by more than 7.5 points. I think Drake May lights them up, and I think Minnesota's really not that good. That's my first. Second, I really like that Duke team, man. I got the chance to watch them versus Clemson. Got a chance to watch them fully. 17 starters returned from last year. They look good. Give me Duke minus 18.5 over Northwestern. Bo Nix plays better at home. Give me Oregon minus 37.5. We're going to make that duck do some push-ups this week. I got Oregon minus 37.5 over Hawaii for my super dog. Give me Wyoming plus 28.5 over Texas. I think I pick up massive super dog points here. This is the classic letdown game. I think Wyoming keeps this game within 10 to 14 points. I think Texas wins the game. I don't think it's ever real in jeopardy. But Texas is not a team that likes to beat up or roll over teams. They just don't do it. I think Wyoming keeps that game close, and I think Wyoming's a little bit of a sneaky good team. So give me Wyoming plus 28.5. Shally?
All righty. I'm going to go against Cottrell right off the bat here. I got Washington minus 16.5 against Michigan State. That program is in disarray. They've heard nothing about football all week. All they've had to do is answer questions about their head coach, about what he did, he didn't do. I think they're distracted, to say the least. I think Michael Penix is going to go in there and get some revenge from when he was at Indiana and got stomped on all the time. I think Washington stays focused. I think Washington goes into Michigan State, a very unorganized Michigan State that's already lacking talent in certain areas. I think Washington throttles Michigan State on Saturday. I think they go in there and win by 30, but I'm going to take them minus 16.5. Second game, I think Matt Rule gets his first win as a Nebraska head coach. I think for a half last week anyway, they look better. I think they'll look even better this week. They're playing a Northern Illinois team at home. I think Nebraska fans will come out. I think Memorial Stadium is not an easy place to play. That place will be rocking. I think they get their. I think they pick up their first dub. I think Nebraska wins by 2 touchdowns. So I'll take Nebraska minus 10.5. Last is certainly about not least. I am taking Colorado minus 22.5. I think it's a rivalry game. It's at home again in Boulder. I don't know if anybody saw the pictures from what that stadium looked like last week. I think it's going to be even harder to get into this week. I know they have Oregon next week. I don't think it's a letdown. I don't think they get caught looking ahead. I think if anything at all, I think Dion has shown that they keep those kids focused and on point and ready to go. I think Colorado State is not going to be able to stop that offense with Shedeur Sanders, slinging the ball all over the field. Colorado State does not have the athletes to run with Travis Hunter and some of those kids. So I think Colorado State probably puts up another 50. I don't think Colorado State has enough to keep them, keep that game anywhere near striking distance. So those are my 3. Super dog. I'm going for a backdoor cover here. Hopefully pick up some points. I'll take South Carolina plus 27.5 against Georgia. I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia throttles them. This is going to be the first team that Georgia kind of plays with any kind of talent on it, though. Again, I don't think they're ever in any danger of losing the football game whatsoever. I just think 4 touchdowns against another SEC team is a lot. So I will take South Carolina and hope they keep it somewhat respectable. So those are my 4 for this week.
We get to get in a little MLB hot stove action before we talk about Israel Adesanya.
Choking again.
Bro, Sally's got some questions for us. We don't know what the questions are. I love that because I can answer, give gut reactions. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, so we got a bunch of minus the NL East. There's still a couple really good races that are come down to the wire. So we're gonna hit on them. We're hitting on some MVP talk, some dark horse talk, and see what you guys think. So that's where we're gonna go here. We're going to start off with the MVP conversation right now. Who plays better the last 3 weeks of the year and locks up the MVP? Ronald Acuna Jr. or Mookie Betts?
Acuna. I think Acuna almost has it locked up now. You're talking about a guy that's got 65 stolen bases. Yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr. I think Ronald Acuna Jr. wins it. I know Mookie Betts having a great year, but Acuna's on another planet.
I say Acuna too, and not even just because of what he's still doing now, but I think Acuna basically has the award won for the past 2 months. I think Mookie Betts, obviously he hit a crazy stride after the All-Star break, and his numbers are absolutely insane. But I think what Acuna has done, he was a clear favorite, earlier on in the year, and he's just been consistent throughout the year. I think it's already wrapped up for him.
I think he's going to win. I think it's close, though. I mean, there was a couple weeks ago, Betts had actually made his way under the betting favorite. So if you look at the major 6 or 7 categories, I think it's 4-3 Acuna. Betts is having a lot of people don't get to watch him because he plays on the West Coast, but his numbers are staggering as well. I think Acuna is going to get it because he plays on the best team in baseball. I think that's eventually what's going to happen. I don't think Olsen is that much of a threat to split any votes, whereas Freddie Freeman, I think, will will steal some from Mookie Betts as well, because he really hasn't cooled off either. So I agree Acuna Jr. wins it. I think it's closer than – I don't think it's a landslide by any means, though. Let's see. Next up, we got – I'm going to give this one to Gene first, because these are his boys, and, he called it at the beginning of the year. Does Baltimore hang on in the East? It's 2.5 games right now with 3 weeks to go.
Yes, they're the best team in the AL East. Yes. I think they hold on. I still think they make a run in the playoffs. They're no longer my World Series prediction because they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. But, yes, I think Baltimore hangs on in that division.
I say no. I think Tampa Bay ultimately wins that division.
It's not just 2 games, though. It's 2.5 games. It's 4 games in the loss column, if we're being completely honest. And that's the big one. Yes, it is 2.5 games because of the way you look at it, but it's 4 games in the loss column. I think Baltimore's a better team, and I think the Rays have lost a lot so far this year.
I don't disagree. Ultimately, I think they hold on. The Rays actually already won today. Baltimore's winning right now. I think the other key thing that's going to help is, I think Baltimore has 3 games in hand as well. So it's going to be, you can look at that as an advantage or a disadvantage. If you get it locked up, it's games you don't have to win, and you can just sit your starters and get them rest at the end of the year. Problem becomes if you need the games, if Tampa Bay stays within striking distance, then you got to use your bullpen, you got to use your starters, and you can overextend guys. So I think it gets interesting. I think with everything that the Rays have been through, I think you have to give them a ton of credit. They lost their best pitcher, they lost their best player. They've had other injuries, and they're still there. They're still playing. But I like Baltimore's lineup too much. I still like Tampa Bay's defense or pitching better, but I like Baltimore's lineup. I think it's easier for them to score on a nightly basis. I think they win the division by 2 games when it's all said and done. Who comes out of the AL West? Just muddled cloud of teams.
It's kind of odd. Texas has completely fell apart. Go ahead. Good job.
I was going to say I'll take the Astros. I just think that they are going to be the team that comes out of it. Gene, you were about to hit on the point that I was going to say. The Rangers, they were at a point where I was like, oh, they got this division. They got this division in a good hold right now, and that Astro team has been struggling. But I think the Astros at this point, they got themselves in a good spot, and I think ultimately they do win that division.
I got a different name. It's not Texas. It's not Houston. Give me the Seattle Mariners. I don't think there's a hotter hitter in all baseball than Julio Rodriguez.
Julio, yeah,
he has been absolutely ridiculous. So I think Seattle pulls the division out.
All right. So this is going to be our last round of predictions because, we're getting too close. We can't do this anymore. So give me your final prediction for your 3 wildcard teams from the NL, and then we'll do the AL next.
Okay. That's fair. I have the Houston Astros, the Tampa Bay Rays. I have the Houston Astros, Tampa Bay Rays, and the Texas Rangers. Sorry. No. Houston Astros, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Toronto Blue Jays. I apologize. I have the Rangers out. I think they're falling apart. And with the news of Max Scherzer being done for the year, that's it.
So I am taking I have the Orioles there. I have the Mariners there. And I think the Blue Jays are going to have that last spot in the AL.
That'd be interesting.
It's the same 7 teams.
Yeah.
Because your Guardians completely fell apart. What a joke.
Yeah.
They just, I had so much faith in them. They were at least going to make a run and put something together, and they just haven't. They're just stagnant.
I knew that they were going to do that when they decided to not do anything at the deadline. I just knew that they were packing it in for the year, and it's just disgusting.
All right, same question, but for the NL.
Phillies, Cubs, Giants.
Oh, you were quick.
I've been ready for this one.
Okay.
I've been following up with it because the Phillies, and I don't care if the Rangers swept the Jays. I know you're a Texas fan, brother, but the Texas Rangers had a 7-game lead on the division, and now they're already in second base. I'm so glad they swept the Jays. Max Scherzer's out for the year. Your season's over, brother.
It's only out for the regular season, just to be clear. If they do make the playoffs, they say he's going to be back for that.
He said it says postseason unlikely.
Any conflicting reports. It's going to be interesting. Right now, Tampa Bay's got Tampa Bay's definitely going to make it. And Texas and Seattle right now are tied for the last 2 spots, with Toronto a half game out.
I'll take Toronto.
So you're going Phillies, Cubs, and who?
San Francisco Giants.
All right, so you got San Francisco passing Arizona. Okay.
Yeah.
Cottrell?
I have the Phillies, of course. I think the Diamondbacks are ultimately that team that makes it. And I want to pick the Reds so bad here, but I'm going to go with the Cubs as well.
Okay.
I want to see Ellie in the playoffs, but it's not going to happen.
I'll tell you right now, the Philadelphia Phillies need to get it together. I'm tired of them hitting ridiculous game-tying home runs in the bottom of the 9th inning and losing the game because they can't get the goddamn ghost runner in from second base. It's driving me nuts.
Topper has cost them a couple games this year, and people don't want to say that because of what he did for the team last year, but he's got outmanaged a couple teams this year, and it's starting to show. I don't agree with the way he's used the bullpen a couple times. I don't agree with it last night. I don't want to hear somebody can't bunt. Like if that's the case, then I mean, I've said this a gazillion times, and I'll say it one more time. If you're in the major league, you should know how to bunt. And especially if you're in the major league making $25 million a year, you better know how to bunt a goddamn baseball. That being said, if you can't put somebody who can, you have a backup that can easily go behind the dish, tie the game and extend the game and go from there. Last night was ridiculous. But that being said, I do agree with you. They're hitting well again. They got to get their pitching in order, and they got to figure out what the rotation is in the bullpen. We got 3 weeks to go. We have people coming back now. You have to figure out exactly what you're doing and who you're using in those situations, and let those guys get ready to do it. Because until then, it's been a mess the last couple of weeks. So I agree with Gene on that one. How many games do the Braves end up ultimately winning?
The problem is they're all locked up, right? So I don't think they win as many as you think they do. I don't think they break the home run record. I don't think. Let me do the math. How many are left?
They're 95 and 50 right now. So they have 17 games left, including tonight, and they're winning right now.
Yeah, they're going to win the
103. I put them at 103.
106.
So you'd have them going 11 and 6. Yeah, I mean, I think it's respectable. I mean, listen, Baltimore's at 91, so they can't let their foot off the gas that much because they got to keep home field. So it'll be interesting when they mathematically lock what they do and who they rest, because they're also going to sit for their first round of the playoffs. So you don't want to get in that situation where you have guys sitting for a week and not seeing live action as well. So it'll be interesting.
So friggin' good.
Agreed.
They lose Dansby Swanson. They just had Orlando Arcia, and he's just incredible. It's just so dumb. Their team, Michael Harris bats 9th for them. Like, it's so dumb.
They're really good. Last question. This one I think is the fun one. Take Atlanta and Baltimore out of the equation. Who are your dark horses to make the World Series? Not make a run, actually make it to the World Series.
When you say dark horses, do you just mean teams that's not those two?
Yep.
Well, that's easy.
Well, NL, I'm going to say Dodgers. For me, in the AL, I understand they only got Clayton Kershaw in their pitching staff, but I just think their lineup, I think they'd be able to score in the NL. On the AL side, I take the Rays.
I'll take Houston and Philadelphia.
I agree with Gene. I think Houston has the pitching, and as much as I like the Dodgers lineup, the Phillies lineup is every bit as good, and their pitching is miles better right now. Clayton Kershaw is not going to be able to go in the postseason and give you 7 starts. It's just not going to happen on 4 days rest. I just don't see it. That's it for MLB Hot Stove. We can talk about choke artist Adesanya now. Get that out of the way.
I mean, it doesn't take too much. I think it's such a joke. You know, Strickland almost got pulled from that fight. Did you guys see that report? He punched a fan in Australia. The Australian government almost pulled him from the fight. Like,
what?
Yeah, he punched a fan in Australia.
He's a lunatic, dude. He's a
if it wasn't for my other "you got to be kidding me" to happen Monday night, he would 100% be my "you got to be kidding me." Like, if someone's not using the UFC for the three reasons that they had, I know Cottrell's not. I'm not. What are you using, Charlie? Before I go on a rant,
go do your rant. I'm not using the UFC.
Okay, so you had two fighters that dropped homophobic slurs, and then you have Strickland that goes in the press conference and goes, "Thanks to my dad for abusing me as a child, and thanks for the UFC, because if it wasn't for the UFC, I'd be a murderer." Like, what is going on? Like, I understand these guys are fighters, but can we put a muzzle on some of these idiots? Like, it's incredible how many dumb comments come out of these guys' mouths. Test them for CTE now. You guys are idiots. One guy shouted to the fans and called them a homophobic slur and invited the fans to join him in the ring to fight him. Strickland's in the press conference making fun of Israel Adesanya's dead dog, and then goes, "Oh well." He's like, "I just want to thank my dad for abusing me, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at now." Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, this is such ridiculous. And he's the worst champion ever. Like, I cannot wait till somebody else of 185 steps up and knocks him out and gets him out. I hate Sean Strickland. I cannot stand him. And the way Izzy responded after that fight, like, he's got CTE or something, man. He sounded like a complete moron. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to party. I'm gonna let my publicist talk about it." Are you out of – what is going on in the UFC? He sounded like an idiot too. I was blown away by everything that happened in UFC this past weekend. I thought it was going to be a boring card, and it kind of was a boring card, but it was a really stupid. It was very entertaining to watch these idiots get on the microphone. Israel Adesanya looked like a shell of himself. He looked slow. He looked embarrassing. Sean Strickland's not even that good of a fighter. Stop lying to yourself that this guy's a champion. This is so reminiscent of the 205 division, of just like anybody can win, and it's a bunch of idiots up here, and this is it's pathetic. Israel Adesanya, one of the greatest fighters in MMA. Oh man, I'm disgusted.
I will say the one thing for me though is that as disgusted as I was with Izzy's performance, it looked like he wasn't even. It looked like he didn't train for the fight. It looked like he didn't want to be there, and it looked like he didn't care about losing. You even saw in the last minute of the fifth round, Sean Strickland was trying to egg him on and have him fight him and say, let's put it all out there in front of the fans and, see who wins. And at that point, Sean Strickland was clearly up at minimum 3-1 on the scorecards, and he was still ready to, stand and bang right there in the middle of the octagon. And Izzy wanted no parts of that. Now, with that said, I do think that this ultimately is the best thing for the UFC. And I'm gonna defend that by saying you're going to get so many matchups that you hadn't seen before, because I think the winner of Paulo and Hamzat are going to be the number one contender, and they're going to face Sean Strickland. So you're going to get Hamzat in there, and, he's going to destroy Sean Strickland. And if Costa goes in there with Sean Strickland, he's going to beat him too. So you're going to have another new champion in there. You got Izzy, who's going to be – I think Izzy should take a couple months away from the UFC. I know he's constantly fighting and constantly getting back in there. I think this will be good for him. Take 6 to 9 months away from the sport, let people miss you, and then come back more focused, because clearly you weren't focused and you weren't ready for this fight. And I don't want an Izzy going in there at 60%, because that's just not entertaining to watch. He gave me a snooze fest, and he's supposed to be the face of the franchise, essentially. So I think Izzy should take some time away.
And then his comments afterwards, Cottrell, he said, talking about Strickland's coach, "You saved that man's life. I was going to kick him in the head and knock him out, and you called it out." Like, shut up, bro. Yeah. Shut up. Put a muzzle on some of these people.
No, 100%. And then even afterwards, him saying, you mentioned I want to go out and party. He's like, "My family's here. I'm going to go out party with them. I don't have too much to say to you guys right now. I'll let my publicist speak on my behalf and all that. Like, I just think it's time for Izzy to take a step away. And the other nice thing about the division is, you talk about Dricus, this was the absolute worst possible outcome for him. I think he's on the back burner now. And I think this is an opportunity for the UFC to strap a rocket to Bo Nickel, make that division exciting again. Make him go fight a Robert Whitaker or one of those Derek Brunson or Jared Cannonier. Make him fight one of those top 10 kind of guys. And then that way, 2 fights from now, you could be looking at Bo Nickel fighting for the belt against Hamzat. Now tell me at UFC 303, Hamzat versus Bo Nickel, like, sign me up for that. Like, you can make this division exciting again. Give us enough time to miss Izzy, and then you come back and have Izzy fight the winner of that fight. Like, I'm cooking up something for you, Dana, here, because you gave me a snoozer. Sean Strickland's your champion now. I'm trying to think of the goodness out of all this storm and cloud of just yuck. But
Hamza would absolutely destroy Sean Strickland. He would absolutely destroy him.
Absolutely.
I would love to see Bo Nickel in like 2-3 fights fight Hamzat for the title. I don't even know who I'd root for. That'd be an amazing fight to watch.
Yeah. So I think it's good for the middleweight division that this happened. You had to get Izzy out of there. You didn't want to see Izzy versus Paulo Costa 2 or whatever else they were going to throw at you. But very disappointed in Izzy performance, and I don't even want to say anything more about it because he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. Callie, your thoughts?
I mean, there's not much really more to add. I mean, I think he looked unprepared. I think he looked very disinterested in the whole thing in general. I think Izzy's being, he's nowhere near the same level as Conor, but he's doing so well away from the octagon. I just don't think he's focused on fighting right now. I don't. And I think I couldn't imagine 2 years ago Izzy losing a fight and being like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to go party. Like, this is the guy that has the viral clip, in the cage starting the 5th round, like, I'm prepared to die, like, to go win the fight. Like, that's not what Izzy is anymore. And I think we just kind of have to all accept that. Maybe the time away will help bring the hunger back, and he'll get hungry to get back in there and get his belt back. But I think he's starting to fall into that Conor mode. I really do. I think he's more concerned about making money outside the octagon and what's going on outside than he is fighting. I mean, that's the worst Izzy fight I've ever seen, and it's not particularly close. And Gene kind of said the important part. There's no planet where Sean Strickland should go in there and look that good against Israel Adesanya. None. And I mean, Sean Strickland looked like a world beater, and he's not that good. Like Gene said, you can fool yourself all you want because he's got the belt now. He's not that good of a fighter. He's just not. And you're going to see it when he starts fighting some of these guys. He's probably not going to have a successful title defense. And that's assuming he stays out of jail before the next time he fights, because that's questionable at best. The way he says things. So
he punched a fan.
Yeah, I mean, so it's I agree with Cottrell. I mean, it puts a reset on the division. I don't think Strickland stays up there long. So we are going to get a bunch of matchups that we probably wouldn't have gotten with Izzy, but to Gene's other point as well, though, I mean, he's supposed to be one of the faces of the entire freaking organization. To go out there and put on that performance, I mean, it's really disappointing for me. I'm a big Izzy guy, and you just kind of have to wonder now if we've seen the best of him, and if we have, I think that's kind of crazy. But it's we'll see. We'll see. I like the Bo Nickel scenarios. I think we're probably a year and a half away from that, though, if I'm being honest. Again, if he keeps beating everybody in a minute, maybe not. But the odds of him, as he's going up, coming out unscathed and only spending a minute or so in the octagon is, that's going to decrease a little bit. But we'll see.
You guys ready for UFC 294?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Got a couple good ones coming up. So
I'm also ready to see Paige get her Paige Valentina get her belt back this weekend.
Can't believe it's a fight night.
Why? She's not a brawl, bro. She's boring.
I'm not saying she would have headlined, but I just figured he would have put that as a co, which is what he usually does.
I'm not gonna lie, that could have been the co on 293.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. Can't argue with you when you're right. Okay. Let's move on to You Got to Be Kidding Me. I'm ready. Kittrell, give me yours because it's really good.
Yeah, so mine this week is Mr. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'll start it off by the 3 drops that he had on the Thursday night game. You supposed to be this number 1 receiver on this Kansas City Chiefs team who is at this point desperately looking for a guy to step up and be that guy. Obviously, Sky Moore is in year 2. You got Rashee Rice, this is his rookie year. You're supposed to be that veteran on that team and step up, be that receiver 1. And, you had a tough game. But, hey, tough games happen. I'm not getting on you too hard for that one. Bounce back from it this week. But you didn't let it just stop there. Sunday night football happened. And I know you got beef with the Giants, your former team. And you take it to Instagram because you didn't go on Twitter because you deleted your Twitter because Giants fans were coming at you and you responded in their DMs, and then they started posting screenshots of the stuff you were saying, and you couldn't take the heat for that. So you go on Instagram and you post a picture of the game while it's going on. Giants are down 26-0, and you say, "Nah, don't get quiet now." And then you post another one after the game's all over, and you say, "Giants fans last night," and you post a meme of Stewie from Family Guy in bed, crying himself to sleep. It's just like, what are you doing at this point? Not only is that petty, but you were the reason why your team didn't win their football game. You have the exact same record as the New York Giants. You were both 0-1, and you are the sole reason for that. If you won the game and you caught some balls and you had over 100 yards, I'm still calling this petty, but you're not my You Got to Be Kidding Me. So this week for me, Kadarius Toney, you're not handling your own business, and you're still worried about what the Giants fan base did to you and how you feel about that team. Completely unfocused. You got a Super Bowl ring. Get over it. So Kadarius Toney this week for me.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Jolly.
So mine's kind of silly, but kind of, dumb and soft at the same time. So it's no crazy kept secret that all the big shot NBA players all decide to kind of collude and opt out of this cycle, for international play for FIBA and everything else. But then as soon as the United States lost to Germany and they got eliminated, all of a sudden it was LeBron commits to play, Steph commits to play, KD commits to play, blah blah blah. And now they're all talking about how excited they are to get back in the cycle, blah, blah, blah. Dude, I am at my wit's end with how soft NBA players are. Like, I literally cannot deal with the grandstanding and everything else with the NBA players. Like, you guys would have you got to take a month out of your summer to play in FIBA. That's all it was from start to finish, not even. But now you guys all want to be heroes and be like, oh, we're going to come back and save USA basketball at the Olympics and everything else. You guys should have played. If you really cared, LeBron would have manned up and played. Steph would have manned up and played. KD would have manned up and played. Booker, all these guys would have manned up and played. But now that they lost with Anthony Edwards and a bunch of role players, now it's, oh, well, we'll come back and we'll save it and we'll look like the heroes and look like the good guys. If you want to play for your country, play for your country. If you don't, then shut the hell up and go away and go sit on a beach somewhere for the summer. I'm tired of this. Oh, man, it's so much wear and tear for me to play 7 games during the summer. Shut up, dude. You play basketball, and it's international basketball. It's even less physical. You have to run. That's it. Don't act like you're football players and you're playing another season now where you're getting tackled and you're getting hit and every other thing. You run up and down the court and play basketball. It's not the most physical sport in the world, especially internationally. Shut up and play if you want to play for your country. If not, go away. Don't act like heroes on Instagram 2 days after, and you're throwing dirt on the guys that went over and committed to actually play after they finished their seasons. They were all tired. I'm just over it, dude. The softness of the NBA players, it gets worse and worse every year. I'm tired of it.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I don't know if I agree with you there.
All right.
I think the timing of it was very poor. I wish they would have waited a month, 2 months, 3 months to start committing to USA basketball. I think that definitely left a sour taste in my mouth that they did that. But I could understand not committing to FIBA and committing to just the Olympics. I understand that. Like, I wouldn't want to, if you worked all year round and, you could just say it's just running up and down a court, but this is their off season, man, for 82 games of the year from the end of September to June for some of these players. They're away from everybody the whole year. They're playing. That's their pro sport. I get it. I understand what your point is, and your point is well taken. But I don't think they should have did it 2 days later. But I understand if they don't want to.
I agree with the timing. They definitely should have waited. They basically just shit on those guys that went over there, and I get it. They didn't come home with the medal, but you basically coming out saying that is like, hey, I'm glad you guys had fun while you were over there, but yeah, you won't be on this team come next year, essentially.
Yeah, I think that any team that has Austin Reeves as their third best player is not going to be that great.
No,
and Austin Reeves is a good player. I
was going to say it's not his fault that he shouldn't have been their third best player, but he went over there and he competed like it. So
exactly.
Mine is the easiest. You got to be kidding me of all time. This is the dumbest thing ever. Mine goes to the fans of the Green Bay Packers, I guess. Jack's American Pub in Milwaukee was packed for Monday Night Football as former Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers began his new journey with the New York Jets. But customers weren't there to celebrate Rodgers and the Jets. Jack's American Pub was offering free drinks if the Jets lost the game. The promo by the pub was announced late last month, and customers' tabs would be covered by the establishment whenever the Jets lost the game with Rodgers as the starter. Tabs had to be open 15 minutes before kickoff, and only drinks would be covered, not food. So when Rodgers went out 4 plays into the game, the entire bar started celebrating, and they ran up hundreds and hundreds of dollars of drinks. They went nuts. There's no way that they literally went nuts. They're taking shots. They ran up a humongous tab, and they were cheering for the injury of Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, and those fans got exactly what they deserved. At the end of that game, when the Jets won, those tabs had to be paid, and they ran up huge tabs, and there was a lot of upset people and a lot of people cursing, and it's all over social media. So the fans that were cheering for Aaron Rodgers' injury, tearing his Achilles, and running up a huge bar tab, celebrating him being hurt, you got to be kidding me this week.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
What a joke.
Doofus.
Karma, baby. Karma never misses.
Fun episode, gentlemen. Fun episode. Any final thoughts?
I got one a little bit more serious. I would have used it as my "you got to be kidding me," but kind of committed to it. The Kadarius Toney one right when it happened. Kevin Porter Jr. does not deserve to be in the NBA anymore at this point. Obviously, he had his issues at USC, had some more issues with the Cavaliers. That's why they ultimately traded him, and so he's really pretty much on his last strike out in Houston. And he had been arrested over the weekend because he beat up his girlfriend. He strangled her, broke one of the bones in, broke one of her bones, and she had to go to the hospital for various things. And that's just uncalled for anybody, let alone a guy that's completely on his third strike. So I hope Kevin Porter Jr. is no longer a member of that Houston Rockets team. And I've been a guy who's, been high on him. I thought he was going to take that leap this year, but I hope I don't see him play in the league. And I hope this is, a true wake-up call for him, because he should be going to prison. Like, if he wasn't a professional athlete, there's no doubt about it that he would get some jail time for it, because everything is just so damning with all the evidence that's out there already. So definitely didn't want to just glaze over that and wanted to put that out there. How I felt about that situation.
The Rockets could be you got to be kidding me also. They're trying to trade him right now. Are you out of your freaking mind? Release him. Stop trying to what is going on? Wait until suspend him, get him out of they're trying to trade him. They're literally out there trying to trade him right now. That is a joke in its own right.
It is. He broke one of the vertebrae in her neck. Like he's not going to skip out on this. I'm not saying he's going to do 5 years or anything like that. He's going to go to jail though.
100%. We're trying to trade him. Like, what are we doing right now?
No, he should never step foot on an NBA court ever again.
Never.
Tired of these guys in all the sports, dude. I'm still, dude. Again, just like I said was going to happen, the Dodgers is still yet to suspend Urias. It is unbelievable to me because they just don't want to do it. It's just they're scumbags. I'm just tired of I'm tired of the players and all the sports doing it. I'm tired of the organizations, like Gene just said, trying to do anything they can to still justify putting these people on the field or on the court or whatever it may be.
Thank you for bringing that up, Cottrell, by the way. Completely crossed my mind.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment on that one or the Mel Tucker thing just because I was going to wait for everything to officially come out, but that one's going to be interesting too.
Don't worry about the Mel Tucker thing when we get the facts out of it, because I really, that's one of those things I really want to wait on, because I feel.
I agree. That's why I didn't bring it up tonight.
Yeah. Shally, any final comments?
Nada, brother. Nada. I'm going. I'm excited to go watch my boys play on Saturday. So I will be live from Ann Arbor on Saturday for Coast to Coast with Cottrell and Alex. But I haven't been in the big house in like a decade, so I am happy to go back. It's gonna be amazing out. It's a night game. I'm excited, but I'm pumped, man. Football season's here. Love it. Get ready to get in the baseball playoffs. Got Ryder Cup coming up. It's a good time of the year.
Love it. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in this week. Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, episode 153. I'm Wire to Wire. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That is College Cottrell in the upper left corner. Scholastic Shally right above me to the right. And we are signing out.